Sports Bash live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Live video streaming on the X platform and on YouTube at Mike Gill Show. Be a part of the show on a happy hour Friday. Not such a happy late night. Some people in the Delaware Valley probably didn't get enough Z's last night trying to stay up for that Phillies game. Came back at 11:30 last night only to disappoint. We'll dive into some of the big stories from the game last night and some of the big picture stories that, 12 games into the season start to emerge a little bit. How many of those stories are real? How many of those stories are make-believe? We as sports fans, we always like to just have absolutes. And we think we know all the answers, right? This guy stinks. He can't do this. He's horrible. He can't get any better. It's just the nature of what we do, right? We want to be right. We make an opinion, and then we say, I told you so when we're right, and then we kind of hide away when we're wrong, right? I get text messages all day that says, you're wrong, you don't know this, you don't know that. And then when they're wrong, they don't say, hey, you were right about that, I was wrong. I generally have to be like, hey, I like this guy, and he's not what I thought. I mean, I'm wrong about that guy. There is a lack of accountability generally in sports. Fans, we have a lack of accountability. The ledger does not get kept every single day. We don't sit there and be like, all right, let's figure out who was right today, who was wrong today. It just every day is an absolute, right? Every day is an absolute. This guy stinks. And then when he gets better, there's a very low percentage chance that people are going to say, hey, man, I was wrong about that guy. Well, right now we're having that moment with Alec Bohm, right? Alec Bohm is the guy, I think anyway, who is getting the he stinks, you were wrong, I know more than you, he's terrible. And I'm saying, all right, listen, right now, 12 games into the season, I agree with you. He has been not very good. Here's what I would say, though. Alec Bohm, for the last 2 years, has knocked in over 180 runs for this team. So he was pretty damn good for 2 seasons. And the results of Alec Bohm being pretty damn good is that this team made the playoffs. I'm going to tell you something. If Alec Bohm is the guy that you think he is, the Phillies are in some trouble. Nick Castellanos is what he is. You put him in the 4-hole when you have to say, hey, Nick, we need you. You need a little bit more responsibility. It's cute hitting 6. Being the 6-hole hitter, that's neat. We need you to hit number 4 now. 0 for 5 and 5 strikeouts. I mean, seriously. 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts last night. Alec Bohm has driven in 97 runs each of the last 2 years. I would love to see Nick Castellanos scratch those numbers. And yet Bohm somehow is the ire of Phillies fans. And Castellanos is like, hey, Casty. No, Bohm deserves a lot of criticism because they need his 97 RBI. They need him to be the 285, 97 RBI guy. But if you're going to move him down the lineup, you can't have 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts. Can't happen. I mean, come on. You're watching that game last night. It's 0-2, and here you go. Hey, Casty, I got a bullhorn. Here comes a slider. Low and away. I got the pitch. I don't need pitch comm in my ear. I'm smart enough sitting my fat ass on the couch to realize, hey, here's a pitch that they're going to throw you because you swing at it every single time. 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts, and I got people tweeting at me today that Alec Bohm stinks and you're wrong about Bohm. He's the least of your worries. In fact, you better hope Alec Bohm. You better hope I'm right about Bohm is what I should say. You better hope that Alec Bohm drives in 97 runs, because if you're putting that on Nick Castellanos' shoulders, I got news for you. You're going to be more disappointed in Castellanos than you were with Bohm. When Castellanos has been asked to up his value and hit in a bigger spot in this team's lineup, it has not gone well. It has not gone well. So they need to figure that out quickly. And you guys out there, you better hope that Alec Bohm turns into the Alec Bohm that I see. Not the Alec Bohm that you guys think you see. The guys that you think you see, you're seeing them right now. This is the guy that you guys think you see all the time. No. The guy you're seeing right now, he's not good. He's hit the ball hard a couple times. He's hit the ball at people, right at people a couple times, but his approach has been terrible. One of the things we like about Bohm is he's got a really good approach. One of the things we don't like about Castellanos, he has a lousy approach, which has changed this year. Castellanos' approach has changed a little bit this year. He's been a little bit more selective. But then you put him in a little higher pressure situation, not so good. Hey, listen, it's one game. But 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts in the 4-hole, your first opportunity to say, hey, we had to move the lineup around. And I'm for moving the lineup. I said it yesterday on the show. If I'm the Phillies, I would have moved Bohm to the 7th spot, which is what they did last night. They moved Bohm to the 7th spot, and I thought that was the smart move. But it's also a smart move because Castellanos has gotten off to a good start, and he's been pretty good. And I think his approach has changed at the plate. And last night his approach was Nick Castellanos, the one that I know. You guys think you know Alec Bohm. The Alec Bohm that I know is very good approach at the plate. Selective. Doesn't strike out a lot. The not striking out a lot sometimes gets taken for granted. Just putting the ball in play, making it productive out is one of the more overlooked things in baseball. The next time Nick Castellanos has a productive out will be the first. And again, I go back to, I was a huge fan of them signing Nick Castellanos. The day they signed him, I loved the deal. He has been extremely disappointing to me. Now, some people are okay with a guy who's not performed up to the standards that got him a $100 million contract. And if that's you, that's fine. I saw a guy hit 300 with 30 home runs. You must be the other guy. Because I'm not getting that guy, and that's what I paid for. I need that guy. This team needs that guy. Here is Nick Castellanos' numbers hitting in the 4-hole. All right? In 2024. Last season. So as I said, you put him in a higher pressure spot. He hit 207. He struck out 30 times in 111 at-bats. When you hit him in the cute spot, hey, you want to move down a little bit in the order and kind of hide a little bit? Yeah, he murdered. 306 with 14 home runs and 45 RBI. Not as much pressure hitting down at the bottom half of the lineup. The Phillies need Nick Castellanos, and they need Alec Bohm. So we can sit here, and I'll agree with all the Bohm haters. You're right today. You are correct. Alec Bohm has been horrible. But to suggest that he's been horrible last year and the year before, that is just hating on the guy for whatever reason. Okay, you don't like the way he looks. You don't like his long hair. You don't like that he slams his helmet. I can get on board with all that. I don't like his attitude. I certainly think he needs a haircut. I certainly don't like his body language, but I'm not an idiot. I watch him play. The guy can hit. You hit 285 in today's Major League Baseball world, you can hit. Anybody hitting over like 260, people are like, oh, my God, this guy's great. He hits 285, drives in 97 runs, and we act like this guy sucks. And yet, I got to watch a guy go 0 for 5 last night with 5 strikeouts. And that seems to be A-OK, A-O-A-OK. Unacceptable. A lot of things from last night's game that I certainly want to continue to point out. But to me, Castellanos in the 4-hole, major disappointment. One night only, fine. We'll see what the lineup looks like today. I'm not advocating taking Castellanos out of the 4-hole. What I'm advocating is give me something in the 4-hole. Nick, please. Again, I stress that when they signed Nick Castellanos, right, I was a big fan of that. They signed Schwarber, and then a few days later they signed Castellanos. I said, they're really going for this. Castellanos is a top 10 MVP guy in that one season in Cincinnati. There's the key word there, one season in Cincinnati. Nick Castellanos has been the guy he's been in Philly for most of his career. A good player, not a great player. He's getting paid to be a great player. You get $100 million, you need to hit in the 4-hole, not 6 or 7. Hitting 6 or 7, that's cool. Put me in the pressure situation, I can't go 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts. See what happens tonight. See where he's at in the lineup tonight. Bohm 0 for 5 last night. He's down to 160 with a 176 on-base percentage. He's been wretched. I look, the one thing I love about Bohm, for me, okay, again, I say I don't like Bohm's body language. I think Bohm's a crybaby, and everything else that everybody else likes about Bohm, I feel the same way. But I got to be objective and say the guy's got a very good approach. He hits gap to gap. I wish he had more power. He comes up over 300 with runners in scoring position 2 seasons in a row. On pace for over 100 RBI 2 seasons in a row. He missed, over 20 games last year with that hand injury. And I contend, through the month of August, he was pretty good. And then in September, after he came back from that hand injury, I don't know what happened to that hand injury. He was just not the same player. And then he's gotten off to a terrible start this year. Now, through 162-game seasons, people have 12 games where they just don't hit. It just happens for him to be the first 12 games that really stands out. If these were 12 games between the month of June and July, I don't think we're harping on it so much. But when your average is in the 170s, that stands out to people. Much like Castellanos last year. He was horrible. And then he turned it around. Handshake to him. It's a lot easier to do when you're hitting 6 and 7 than it is hitting number 4. They got to turn it around with the lineup. They got to figure some stuff out because there were some glaring things in that Atlanta series. The same things that we saw a lot. The slider out of the zone for Castellanos, couldn't hold off on it. The bottom part of the order got really nothing from, overmatched by the Braves bullpen. And the Braves bullpen, who had been struggling. I thought last night the story of the game on the other side for the Phillies, Luzardo, fantastic. You got a true top-of-the-order pitcher there. You got a great appearance from Hernandez out of the rain, coming in for the first time in a couple of weeks, throwing 99 shed past guys. So you got an arm there that seems to be interesting. The biggest story of them all was Romano. Look, as tough as we are on Romano, this is why we talk about it, it's only 12 games into the season. He was not good. And then last night, miraculously found 4 miles an hour on his fastball. He was throwing 96, 97, Jordan Romano last night, and he was locating. One of the problems with Romano, he had no command at all. Last night he threw 12 pitches, 10 of them for strikes. He was zipping at the knees. That was the guy that I saw in Toronto last night. I get that guy. I feel a lot better about Jordan Romano. Strom, another great outing from him. 2 strikeouts, comes in, ho-hum. Even Tanner Banks came in, did his job. And then Joe Ross, a guy that, I wanted the Phillies to show us a little more of. Maybe they saw something down in spring training that they didn't like as much. They haven't given him a lot of opportunities. He gets a double ripped off of him to start the 10th last night off of Austin Riley, and then a Titanic blast. Oh, man, that thing was tanked by Marcell Ozuna last night. Whew, that was a bomb. So Ross struggled, but the rest of the bullpen, kudos to them. Romano looked good. That, to me, was the story of the game. You need him. I thought another story in the game, interesting one. Marsh starts the game. Sosa hits for him in the 7th, strikes out, which is how many strikeouts now for Sosa in the last 4 at-bats? What's that, 3 strikeouts in the last 4 at-bats? Start to see a little too much of Sosa. You start to see the batting average. All of a sudden, guess what? Oh, man, he's not a 550 hitter anymore. A lot of strikeouts in some moments now. He started the game the other day. I think he was 0 for 3 or 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Or I know he struck out last night. And then they put Rojas into center field.
5 in the last 4 games.
5 strikeouts in his last 4 games, right. So there you go. The Sosa experiment, you start to show him too much, he starts to strike out a little bit more. Okay, you're giving me more playing time. Now the pitching coach sits down and has a little bit more data, and he sits down with Schwellenbach before the game. He says, hey, listen, they got Sosa in the lineup again. Remember, this is what he likes. As opposed to, I don't see Sosa enough. I don't have enough data on him, so I can't figure out ways to go after him with enough data. So now, hey, last night you saw what he does. He chases high. You see what he does. He chases high. He chases out of the zone. And that's why a guy like Sosa doesn't play every day. He swings at pitches out of the zone. He does not have a very selective eye, shall we say. Now, that's not to say Marsh does either, but, this is the classic. We have a lot of discussions about this, right? Your coaches were sitting around in a room. I was texting with one of my coaches last night. He's coaching right now. We coach a team together. A couple guys that I know that coach, we go back and forth and have, conversations. And a lot of the conversations always come back to, you know what, Coach? We're just a bat short, right? Can you move this guy here? Can you do that there? Can you put this guy there? Can you try that guy there? And you say, yeah, I could do that, but then I need there. I can move him to here, but then I don't have this guy. And I can move that guy over here, but then I'm short there. And I can move the puzzle pieces all over the place. I can just keep spinning them around in the conversation. And it's conversation we all like because we love sports, we love baseball, we love all the strategy that's involved. And our conversation always comes back to, okay, fine, I'll move him there, but then who do I put here? Coach, you know what? You're one bat short. Sometimes two. In some cases, you're two bats short. And I think that's where the Phillies are. I think the Phillies are in that spot where they're probably two bats short. Not impact bats. I think they need one guy, and that's a lot to ask. It's a lot to ask to find a middle-of-the-order right-handed bat. One option. See what everybody thinks about this. We'll ask Mike McGarry coming up. Talk to Bob Wankel at 3 o'clock today. Friday, Bob. Do you just try Turner in the leadoff hole and put Schwarber behind Harper for the time being? Now, the question is, what do you do in the number 2 spot in the order? Do you go Turner leadoff? Do you try Bohm in the 2? Do you try Real Muto in the 2? Do you try Stott in the 2? You can't really put Stott in the 2 because then you have lefty, lefty, lefty. So your options are really Real Muto or Bohm. And do you just say you go Turner, Real Muto, Harper, Schwarber, and then Castellanos is out of that more important 5 spot in the order. You still have Bohm that probably will come around at some point here. But the point is to have a legitimate guy behind Harper. They walked Harper twice last night. I mean, they're looking at Castellanos saying, you want to give me an out every time? Okay. This is easy work for me. This is easy. You can't have an out like that. You can't. Now, that's not to say if Bohm was hitting 4, they would walk him too. But they don't have anybody that they respect. You've got Suarez, who, by the way, just got here. He pitched for Houston, but he was part of that Houston team in the World Series. He threw the combined no-hitter against the Phillies. He pitched that night against the Phillies. He came in last night, and he had a smile on his face from ear to ear when he saw Castellanos come up to the plate. This dud? Huh. Watch this. Meow. Meow. Do it again. One more time. Meow. Okay, that was easy. It's like it's Staples, which has gone out of business all over the place. Suarez is keeping him in busy. That was easy. That was easy. That was easy. All right, that's how we start today's show. How am I doing?
Well, Mike, you said so much that we don't have time to get to all of it.
You know, I just talked nonstop without a breath for 20 minutes.
I know, and I had so many things I wanted to say while the course of you saying
so
things.
many things that I want to say.
So, couple rapid fires here for you. One, back to the Alec Bohm point, because I'm not like the Twitter people who are just vomiting information out there that they think is truth, which is not. My legitimate question to you, Mike, is it just the wrist, or do you think there's something else going on with Alec Bohm?
Bohm, I really don't know. I think last year the hand problem, whatever it was, I definitely think he came back from that and just wasn't ready. I know many people have experienced hand issues, wrist issues, and it is a struggle bus to bounce back from a wrist injury. I broke my navicular bone in my wrist, and that was it. I'm not a professional hitter, but certainly wasn't the same hitter. That navicular bone injury was the ruination of hitting the baseball with just no ability to generate power. And I know Dave Hollins had a hand injury where he had a navicular bone as well. That was going way back. Guys who have wrist and hand injuries, that worries me. So I would be worried about Bohm. I don't know that it's lingering. I don't think – see, and what happens is it doesn't hurt. So he's not – it doesn't hurt. He's not in pain. It doesn't – but I think it changes just the power that is generated from that hand turning the – when you hit, you got to turn your wrist over, and you just can't do it. And I don't know that if that's something that he just has lost the ability to do. He was never a power guy with regularity. I mean, he was in the home run derby. You could see he could drive the ball. And look, he's still hitting the ball on the nose. He's still hitting the ball hard here and there, but it's just not consistent. It's not consistent. I don't know if it's pain or bothering him, but I think it could be. I think, though, I will say one thing about Bohm that I'm noticing different from last year is his approach is he's a little bit more swinging at the first pitch, trying to make something happen. He's popping up at that first pitch, or he grounds right into a double play. And he's done that a lot where he grounds into double plays. That's going to happen. But I feel like he was much more selective. He's not a heavy strikeout guy. He's striking out a little bit more right now than his pace was a year ago, the last 2 years.
And I think that was my concern is the guy's got 10 strikeouts right now, the same amount as Brandon Marsh. Him and Marsh are playing poorly, but Marsh is not a great player. You look at Bohm and you say, I got 2 years and 97 RBI and an all-star third baseman.
Well, and what you said he had 10 strikeouts already?
Yes.
How many have all of last year? 80? I mean, literally, the whole season last year. And 140, I think Bohm played like 143 or 145 games. He might have had 80, 90 strikeouts, 86 strikeouts all season.
In 143 games.
He's got 10 already.
10 already.
But 86 strikeouts is what he had last year. To put it in perspective, last year he had 86 strikeouts. Nick Castellanos last year struck out 139 times. I mean, it's nearly double the amount of strikeouts. So you talk about Bohm. At least put the ball in play at a productive out. You can't strike out 139 times and expect good things to happen.
And by the way, one more thing.
He doesn't have enough power, by the way. You want to strike out 139 times, you better hit 35 home runs. Castellanos hits 23 home runs, which, by the way, is what, 9 better than what Bohm hits?
And really quick, the other thing that bothers me about Bohm right now, he's walked 1 time this year.
Which is another number. What did he walk last year? He's not a big walker.
He isn't. I mean, he only walked 40 times last year, but considering the Phillies have Rojas, Marchand, Castellanos, Marsh, and Realmuto instead of all walked more than Bohm has.
How many times has Castellanos walked this year? Because I know he's like doubled up. He only walked 41 times all of last year.
4.
Yeah, 4.
By the way, Castellanos has struck out less than Stock.
No, Castellanos has had a very good approach this year. His approach has been much better. Last night was wretched.
Right, last night was horrible.
He was in the 4-hole last night. I don't know. Is the pressure of being in the 4-hole, moving up the lineup, having a little bit more pressure on him, is that something that he struggles with? Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. The 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City will preview the weekend as the Phillies are now in St. Louis. Aaron Nola gets to start tonight. We'll have lineups for you and more, plus Bob Wankel. The Phillies conversation will continue. The Eagles have added intriguing wide receiver. I'll tell you the details on that coming up in 20 minutes from now. It's the Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, and watch the show, live video streaming on the X platform, YouTube, at Mike Gill Show. Hey, what do you know? It's a cue to call right now. Caller 7, 609-573-3776. 609-573-3776. Caller 7, jump on board right now. You have a ticket to this year's Eagles draft party where you can win Eagles Club Box tickets for a game at Lincoln Financial Field. That's right. One lucky winner will walk out of there with Club Box seats to see the Eagles at the Link this season. Plus, we've got great prizes from Ocean Casino Resort, an overnight stay at Ocean Casino, gift cards, tickets to shows. It's all going to be live. You must be present to win our biggest party of the spring. It's the Eagles draft party at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. We'll be there less than 2 weeks to the NFL draft at Ocean Casino. By the way, every qualifier, your parking is on me. All right, 2:32. Sports Bash, kind of a wet, nasty, dreary day. Phils losing extras last night, 4-2 to the Braves. Some interesting signs in the game. I want to get Mike McGarry's take on a bunch of stuff here we're going to get into. Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City, pressafac.com. We'll preview the weekend here with Mike as we take a look at Phil's getting ready for the Cardinals. But last night, interesting game, Mike, as we saw. The Phillies changed the lineup last night. They went with Bohm down in the 7th spot. They moved Castellanos up. So it's really like, hey, Bohm's struggling. Let's put Castellanos there. And then, of course, you get an 0 for 5 with 5 strikeout night out of Castellanos. I mean, what we come back to, Mike, it seems, is the merry-go-round of this team is essentially one bat short, and that bat is a guy that could hit in the middle of the lineup. Do we come back to that, or is it something different?
Mike, and I think it's also a matter of consistency, right? This team is very streaky, and all baseball hitters are streaky, right? It would be great if a guy hit 300 every year and, every week he was like 6 for 20 or 9 for 30. But the bottom line is most baseball players blow hot and blow cold during the course of the season. The Phillies have guys who seem to be extra streaky, and as we've seen in the postseason, that can cost them when everybody goes bad at the same time. Like, that's the worst case scenario. Castellanos had been hitting the ball great. He had looked great at the plate. You move him up in the lineup. You drop down a struggling Alec Bohm. It's the perfect move. It makes a ton of sense. And then it backfires. Not only does Bohm not hit, but Castellanos strikes out 5 times.
Yeah, I agree with the move, too. Yesterday, during the first hour, Mike, I said I wouldn't mind them trying to move Bohm down. Castellanos got off to a good start. He's been pretty good. Flip him. And that doesn't mean – I think they should keep Castellanos there again tonight. I wouldn't move that again and just go back the other way. I'd try to keep Castellanos and see if I can get him rolling there. But looking at Castellanos' numbers in the 4-hole last year, he was horrible. He hit 200 in the 4-hole, struck out almost, 40% of the time. It just seems that you give him more pressure or priority and people pitch him different, and he just isn't nearly as productive. And it goes back to how can they fill that spot? And I'll throw the question at you is it Schwarber? Is that the way to go? You got to bat Schwarber behind Harper. You walk Harper twice last night. Well, you ain't walking him if Schwarber's hitting behind him.
That's a great point, and maybe you want to get away from the two lineups that they have differently, right? They're going with against the lefties. Turner bats lead off, and Schwarber drops down against the righties. Schwarber's lead off. You make a good point. Maybe you have to drop Schwarber in the lineup to give Harper some protection at that spot, because nobody has seemed to grab that spot behind Harper as far as giving him protection. Bohm did it, April, May, June, July, and into August of last year. Ever since then, he's been a dud. And you're right. It seems whenever they move Castellanos up in the lineup, he seems to, whatever he was doing well when he was batting 6th or 7th, he doesn't do when he's batting 3rd or 4th. Can't figure it out. Maybe you hit on it there. Maybe pitchers attack him differently. He comes up in different spots. Who knows? But the numbers just aren't there when he bats in the cleanup spot.
Mike, Bohm has been very productive. 97 ribbies last year, 97 ribbies the year before. I know there's a lot of people, he stinks, he's not very good. I think that's based on you want a third baseman with a little bit more pop. But are we at the point where Bohm has regressed enough where, yes, now it is a problem? Because the Bohm you had last year, you can live with a guy hitting 285 with 97 ribbies. Every team in the league will take that guy. But do you think that he'll bounce back, or do you see the signs of this guy is regress and he might not be able to become the hitter or improve on the hitter that he was a year ago?
Yeah, I'm not giving up on Alec Bohm yet. I still like Alec Bohm stock. I'm going to keep my Alec Bohm stock. I'm not going to dump it. I'm not going to sell yet. This could be just a bad – we are just 10, 11, 12 games into the season. I realize he was bad in the postseason. I realize he was bad in September, so I think there's a little bit of a hangover from there when you tend to judge how he's gotten off this season. But I think he's just gotten off to a slow start here. I'm going to keep my Alec Bohm stock. I'm going to give him – I'm going to give him some time. I mean, he was the National League All-Star third baseman. I'm not going to go away from him at this point in the season quite yet. Some of the other guys, I've got some questions about. But Alec Boehm, I'm going to keep my Alec Boehm stock for the moment.
All right, who are some of these other guys that you're bailing on?
Well, Brandon Marsh, right? I mean, this is starting to become, he just is not doing what we projected him to do to become an everyday player. A lot of his bats aren't competitive right there. Last year, I thought was a disappointment. He's off to a disappointing start this year. So I definitely look at him and say to myself, is he a guy who can play every day in center field? Or, he's not even really hitting righties well. It'd be one thing he can't hit lefties. It'd be one thing if he mashed against righties. He doesn't do that. So I definitely got questions about Brandon Marsh. And although I'm still holding on to my Bryson Stott stock, I still believe in him. I would like to start seeing more out of him. I'd like to see him drive the ball more, hit the ball hard, right? It seems like every hit he gets is like a bloop here, a bloop there. I want to see him drive the ball in the gap. He's a guy, to me, he's got to be 25, 30, 35 doubles a year. I just haven't seen that sort of gap-to-gap power out of him. A lot of his hits are bloop here, grounder here. I haven't seen it from him. So I'm not going to push the panic button on Bryson Stott yet, but my antenna's up. But Brandon Marsh, he's on a short, he's on a short leash with me right now.
Yeah, Marsh, I would agree. Last night they hit Sosa for him, and I think what we said, Sosa has now struck out 4 out of his last 5 at bats. So hey, you give him more opportunities to play, and now you're using up that asset a little bit as well. Again, I think it goes back to our beginning of this conversation, Mike. Is this Phillies team a bat or 2 short?
Well, that's a great question because I was thinking about this last night. I mean, with the way they're playing, and it was with the way last night's game unfolded, right? This team is screaming for a right-handed power bat in the outfield, right? It just seems to me that is a big weakness on this team. Another right-handed power bat out of the outfield there. Who that guy is, I don't know. What you want to do at the trade deadline to maybe get that guy. But, yeah, I would say right now when they start making moves at the end of the games and they start pinch hitting and this guy for that guy, they're missing a guy that comes off the bench with power, a right-handed at bat that puts the fear in the heart of the opposing pitcher. Say, this guy can change the game with one swing. They really don't have that guy on their bench right now. And, it's definitely, to me, it's definitely a weakness. I think this team is good enough to win a World Series, or to get to a World Series, but that could be the part that keeps them from getting to that goal. To me, I don't know if you agree or not, but I think they need a power right-handed bat in that outfield. It really misses it, and I thought last night there were situations, you mentioned it last night, they go Sosa for Marsh. What if you put a guy up there who with one swing of the bat could change the game? No disrespect to Sosa, but you need a different type of guy in that spot. I think, I don't know if you agree or not, but that
Definitely.
to me, it screamed off the television screen last
Mike,
night.
this is like when you have a platoon, the one guy is Milt Thompson. He hits for high average. He's an on-base guy. The other guy's Incaviglia, so that when that lefty faces Milt Thompson, I have Incaviglia I can counter with, and he's the basher. The same thing goes when Incaviglia plays and there's a tough righty and I need to hit for him. I got Milt Thompson, who's an on-base maven and can hit 320. They don't have the right complements as the for the platoons. I mean, Marsh fine against righties, but you have no option on the other side. And now Kepler, you're starting to get down the road of, can he hit lefties? Is he a guy that needs to have that right-handed complement? So it doesn't even have to be an everyday righty. It could be your Pete Incaviglia. It could be your Wes Chamberlain, a guy who's competent enough against left-handed pitchers.
Yeah, I would agree 100% with that. To me, when I look at the Phillies lineup right now, and again, Mike, I don't want people to misinterpret our conversation here. To me, the Phillies are, a high-priced, Ferrari type of car, right? but we're not getting the most out of the speed out of the car that we can get. The car is going 160 miles an hour. The car could go 180 miles an hour if we put like new tires on it or something. That's what we're talking about here. We're not talking about changing the structure of the car here. This is still a very good baseball team, but I don't think this team can this team reach its potential with both Brandon Marsh and Caplan in the starting lineup. I think it can with one of those guys in the starting lineup. Like if you put Caplan into center field, you put Marsh on the bench, and then you got a right-handed power bat to play left field. I think that's the best model. I think that's the best Phillies model you got. So I don't know if this team could get Caplan and Marsh reach its potential with those two guys, with those two lefties in the lineup. You get a right-handed bat in left field, power bat, I think then you're operating with 100%.
Did you feel any better vibes around Jordan Romano last night?
Yeah, I did, and that's the other concern that I have right now about this ball club, Mike. It's that they seem to be one right-handed bat short, and again, we're talking about what they need to win a world championship. Not, they're going to make the playoffs. Okay, they might even win a round or two in the playoffs, but this team's built to win a World Series, so that's how we frame these questions, right? Or frame the answers to these questions. So the right-handed bat concerns me. The bullpen concerns me. Romano, apparently he fixed some sort of mechanical flaw. The velocity was back. I still think they're an arm short in the bullpen. Alvarado has been good, but his pitch count has been so high in some of these saves that he's kind of knocked himself, been unavailable in past games after a couple saves, and I think that cost them last night. I think they're down an arm in the bullpen. I really think they need another arm in the bullpen there. So I feel better about Jordan Romano, but even with Romano, I still think they need another arm back there.
Yeah, that's a good point. You look last night. Both teams need to go deep into the bullpen. Joe Ross was a guy I think we had some higher expectations for. We'll see if he can bounce back. He gives up the big home run last night, and the Phillies lose 4-2 down in Atlanta. They'll go to St. Louis tonight. Aaron Nola will get the start. Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. Looks like another washout of a day and a weekend.
Yeah, I mean, the rain's falling right now. It's supposed to fall tomorrow, too, before it kind of lightens up. I know people that run events like my friend Dennis Smith, the Holy Spirit softball coach, running an autism challenge showcase event over there at Holy Spirit this weekend, has kind of changed the schedule. They're hoping to get some games in. So, yeah, Mike, it's the curse of the spring season. It happens every year. It's the middle of April, and it feels like February out there.
Well, I caught the Phillies last night. They didn't get back onto the field till 11:30. Kept me up a little later than I wanted to.
Right.
And got me a little ornery today. Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City, pressofac.com. All right, buddy.
All right, we'll see you down the road, Mike.
All right, Mike McGarry, everybody. Press of Atlantic City, pressofac.com, at AC Press McGarry on the X platform. I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, and, of course, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. Don't forget, you can always just watch us on your phone. Go to YouTube, search Mike Gill Show, and there you'll find us right there. Watch on your phone, cast it over to your television, watch on your laptop, your tablet. I want to congratulate our latest qualifier, and that is Dave in Smithville. Congratulations, Dave in Smithville. We'll see you at the draft party, which, by the way, we will be at Ocean Casino Resort, but we will be at the Gallery, not at Top Golf. We are moving it to the Gallery, which is a huge spot, big bar, a lot of TVs. We'll be at the Gallery for the draft party on Thursday, April 24th. We'll have bonus chances for you to qualify today on the show. Just listen all throughout the day. All right, coming up here on the Sports Bash Live, the Eagles made a little quiet signing yesterday, but could it be a signing that makes a big difference? That's next. This is the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. All right, 252 Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. You might have missed it yesterday, but the Eagles made an interesting signing or yesterday, I should say. It was around 5:30ish, sometime in that range. Signing wide receiver Terrence Marshall Jr. How many people remember him? If you were a college football fan in around 2019, 2020, you'll remember Terrence Marshall Jr. was an absolute beast mode at LSU. He played on the team with a guy named Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. His quarterback was Joe Burrow. He was pretty good. He got drafted by the Carolina Panthers. Actually had one decent year with the Carolina Panthers, but he has been pretty much irrelevant since. Last year he caught 3 passes for 41 yards. Big dude, 6'3", can run 4.3 40. I will say this. I'm intrigued by the signing. His best work as a wide receiver was at LSU when they moved him to the slot. He had to play the slot because Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase were there. Remember all this talk about Justin Jefferson? Well, he did a lot of work in the slot. Well, they moved him kind of all over the place, and then they used Marshall in the slot. Can he push Jahan Dotson enough where Dotson now isn't your third guy, he's your fourth guy? Could Marshall be your fourth guy? I mean, is he better than Anais Smith and Johnny Wilson? Right now, they are the 5 guys in the room, right? You got Smith, you got Brown, you've got Dotson, you've got Wilson, you've got Smith, and now you have Terrence Marshall. We'll talk more about him coming up at Football at 4 today, but I thought it was a little sneaky signing. You remember Marshall at LSU?
I do. Yeah, he was part of that team with the national championship. So, and he was a guy who was highly lauded because of his physical tools. You know, while guys like Chase and Jefferson were like the more polished receivers, he was like the upside on this guy kind of dude.
He was the guy that was 6'3", ran 4.3 40. Second-round pick. He was a second-round pick. Now, the other guys, they were all first-round picks, Jefferson and Chase. But he was a second-round pick out of Carolina. Not a lot of great quarterbacks. He hasn't played with very many good quarterbacks. Had a really good, not to say a really good, he had a solid season as a third receiver in Carolina. In fact, I remember a couple of years ago, people were saying, hey, you got to trade for this guy. He's a big guy with a lot of speed. Why don't you target him in a trade? Well, you wait, you prosper. They signed him on a 1-year deal. More Sports Bash coming up. All right, 3 o'clock on a Friday. What's up, everybody? Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Another cue to call coming up this hour for a chance to win Eagles Club Box tickets. Listen for your cue to call this hour and bonus chances. And we'll see you at Ocean Casino Resort for the Eagles draft party. Phillies last night, that was no party. You had to wait 2 hours and 45 minutes to see a walk-off homer in extras, which obviously they lose the series 2 out of 3 to the Braves. A lot of people with some hot takes today. Bob Wankel, will he be one of them? Let's find out right now from Crossing Broad as Bob is back on a Friday to talk a little Phils before we head into the weekend here. And, Bob, I applauded them. I actually said yesterday, I didn't know they were going to do this, but I said I'd move Bohm down to 7. I'd probably move Castellanos up. Cassie's getting off to a good start. I like what I've seen him. His approach seems to be better. Bohm seems to be pressing. Swipchum. They both went 0 for 5. One had 5 strikeouts. The other guy at least hit the ball hard a couple times, but that didn't work either. It seems like we go ring around the rosy. There's still a bat short. You can move him from here to there and there to here. They just seemingly, Bob, don't have the answer.
Yeah, they don't have the answer. I don't think that the answer is on this roster, and I think the question becomes, can they find that person as the season progresses? It's really weird through 12 games. It doesn't feel like they're 8-4, which everybody I think would acknowledge that is a more than passable start. And I guess the big takeaway right now through basically 2 weeks is this team is exactly what you thought they would be, that they're pretty good, that they'd win a lot of games, that the starting pitching would give them a shot pretty much every single night, that they're probably an arm or two short in the bullpen, and they are certainly a right-handed bat in the middle of the order short. I mean, that is exactly what we have seen so far.
One question I would ask you is, all right, they've been doing this whole thing with Schwarber and Turner. Do you just put Schwarber at 4 and see what happens there? Because I guarantee you're not walking Harper if Schwarber's hitting behind him last night.
I think you're reaching a point where Schwarber has been so consistently good and so impactful that if the biggest need is to increase run production in the middle of the lineup, that you might have to just sit him there for now and let him have some extended run. I don't like all of the different lineup variations and night to night it being just spun up. This kind of reminds me of like the Gabe Kapler lineups where every night is just like, well, what are we going to get tonight? And I get why they're doing it because it's an imperfect lineup. Like the puzzle pieces don't all fit together. And you said it. I mean, it makes a lot of sense from a logical standpoint to move Castellanos into the cleanup spot the way that he had been swinging the bat. But we all know that for Nick Castellanos is not a cleanup hitter. He's at no point has he demonstrated the ability to be a pure cleanup guy for this team since he's been here going back to 2022. And you saw it last night, 0 for 5 strikeouts. I mean, he was dreadful. I just think that
struck out on the same pitch 5 times.
Yeah, it was like taking the flaw and exposing it again and again and again without any adjustment. And like, look, that's going to happen with him for sure on occasion, but I just don't think that that's a solution. And you did say it. Look, like Alec Boehm has been terrible this season. He's 8 for 50 now. He's hitting 160. You go back to last season at the All-Star break, he's hitting 224 with 4 home runs and over 200 at bats since last All-Star break. I mean, it's just not good enough. But I will say about Alec Boehm, and nobody will want to hear this because I know it's like pile on Boehm season. We've had many conversations. You know that I'm not the biggest Alec Boehm believer myself. But if you look at
somehow that mantle has come to me.
Yes, you are. You're like the Boehm guy now. But I will say this, like if you look at his StatCast metrics, which I know that people don't love to do because we're all production based as fans, but he's in the 70th percentile of expected batting average. He's in the 72nd percentile on hard hit percentage. I mean, he hit a ball last night, 99.6 miles an hour in the air that had a 520 expected batting average. And then earlier in the game, he hit a ball that had a 620 expected batting average. I mean, he's at least squaring it up at times. He's had terrible at-bats that have then been compounded by bad luck. He's not this bad.
Yeah, he's the one that I think you're right. Everyone's piling on him. And I said, listen, fine, I'll take the mantle of the Boehm guy. Call me crazy that I don't mind a guy hitting 285 with 97 ribbies in my lineup. I know that sounds like a crazy person, but the signs last year, it coincides a little bit with not who he's dating, by the way, for the people texting me that. He did have a hand injury, and I just wonder if that hand injury hampered him when he came back, and that it is now something he just can't get past. Not that it hurts, but like there have been people, you have a hand injury and you're just not the same afterwards. But you're saying the ball coming off his bat is saying that no, he still has the jump, he still has the pop. I wonder if that's carried over from last year, this hand injury, and he just hasn't got past it, or he's got 12 bad games. You're going to go through a series. Last year in the first month of the season, he had 370 with 30 ribbies. Now he's on the opposite side of the coin.
I guess
do you
the
think
question,
do you think he's a declining hitter?
I do. I think that we've seen the best of Alec Boehm. Like, there's been this idea for a number of years now, like if he could just add a little bit more pop, if he can just take the next step. I mean, I think we all understand at this point, we're talking about a 28-year-old who's been in the league for parts of 6 seasons. We've probably seen the best that Alec Boehm will be. And I think that he is more of a 300 hitter who can drive 20 homers and knock in 110 in a season? Or do I think he's more of like a 260 hitter with very limited pop and very, at best, defense, like league average defense? I think that that's what he is. Unfortunately, he's just not going to be that guy. I mean, we can talk about hand injuries. Is it physical? Is it mental? But when you go back to last July and you have a corner infielder who's only hit 4 home runs, I mean, come on. At some point, over the last 254 at bats, he has 4 home runs. That's not going to work.
No. And I think like the fair criticism, you're just a Boehm guy and you're saying, look, I don't like the guy. He's got bad body language. I don't like his face. I don't like the way he does it. All of these things are fine. I can agree with you. I also could say, look, whether you like the guy or not, 285, 97. This guy's had 97 RBI 2 years in a row. You better hope that he's at least that guy again, because what if Boehm is not at least the player that he's been?
I think that that's the upside. Like, that would be the dream scenario, that he just gets back to like something close to what he's been. But there's mounting evidence that he might not. Look, I can talk about advanced metrics and say that he is actually hitting the ball a little bit harder. He's run into some bad luck. All of this is true. But at the end of the day, he's walked 1 time in 51 plate appearances. He's not sniffing 200 at the moment. Like, it is a production-based thing. And then all of the character stuff. And when I say character, I think Alec Boehm's a good guy. And by all accounts, he's a good guy. But we all understand the body language stuff, the energy. Is he in his own head? Like, that is something that is real. Like, that conversation isn't just some media-driven narrative that we're all spinning up. Like, we've watched this unfold. The Phillies told you when they benched him in the postseason against the Mets last year, how they felt about some of what was going on with him. I mean, it was clear as day. So when you factor all of these things in together, you have to have major concern about his ability to try to help this team in 2025. And then I don't think that there's any shot on earth that he's getting another contract here beyond that. He's the ultimate change of scenery candidate.
Yeah, listen, I mean, we know that and look, hitting him in the 4-hole is not ideal either. His lack of power, he's not deterring
He's not a
anybody.
4-hole hitter. He's just not. He's absolutely not a 4-hole hitter. It's comical. Like, I know you love the RBI thing, but like part of the reason he has all those RBIs is because they guys get on base at the top of the lineup. I mean, the Phillies right now have the best on-base percentage. This is almost impossible to believe. Through 12 games, the Phillies have, as a team, the best on-base percentage in baseball right now. It's crazy.
Oh, listen, I agree with you. Look, the RBI thing, I'm just saying, he hit last year over 300 with runners in scoring position. You still have to be able to deliver if you got guys on base in front of you. He's done that. I mean, you hit over 300 with runners in scoring position. You're coming up when there's guys on base, when they're asking you to. That's why he drives in a lot of runs. He has guys on, and he makes productive outs as well, something Castellanos just does not do.
No, he certainly does not.
And that's why you really can't put him in that spot. Last night, you can't have Harper walk twice because they're just laughing and chomping at the bit that I know I'll get this guy out.
Yeah, no question. I mean, look, they're going to have to figure something out. They're a piece short. If they're serious about winning a championship, they don't have the solution right now.
But they essentially, Bob, have 3 guys, Real Muto, Castellanos, Boehm, who are just average hitters. That's it. They're average hitters. They get streaky at times. Real Muto, I mean, what's he at this stage of his career? A 260 guy with 14 home runs. I mean, that's what you're looking at. He happens to be one of the better hitting catchers in baseball, but still, you're looking at that guy as we might need him to hit 4, or how about if he hit 2? If you went Turner, Real Muto, Harper, Schwarber.
He's got to swing the bat better, though. I mean, that's the thing. You look at the Phillies from a team output, and they're basically like top 6 or 7 in the sport right now in most major offensive categories, but they're really not firing on all cylinders, and they're playing 2 guys every night in Bohm and Marsh that have been, and I don't mean that they are or that they will be, but they have been basically total zeros for this lineup. I mean, those 2 guys have been borderline unplayable so far this season, which kind of speaks to how important Kyle Schwarber has been and how productive Kyle Schwarber has been, because he's the only guy in the lineup. Like, I know that Bryce Harper's not on a heater right now. He's had some moments. He's still drawing a lot of walks. He's been productive, but he's the only guy, Kyle Schwarber, that you look at and go like, wow, like he's rolling right now. Mm-hmm. And that's not going to sustain. Like, guess what? Kyle Schwarber's not going to hit 81 home runs this year. And he's probably not going to hit 320 either, because there's no evidence that he's going to be able to do that. So at some point here, some of these other guys got to get going a little bit.
Yeah. If you were just saying, look, you know what, I'm going to go one way, is it with Turner in the leadoff spot, Schwarber 4, or Schwarber at 1, Turner at 2, and just stick with it?
To me, it's probably Turner. It's like, look, we are invested in you. You're supposed to be a star. We need you to do this. You need to excel at it. And if you can't get it done for us, then at some point, we're just not going to be that good. We need Kyle Schwarber's bat in the middle of this lineup. We need that protection behind Bryce Harper. This is what it's got to be. You've got to figure it out.
Well, that's
and I put it right on Trey Turner.
That's an interesting point, because everybody's pointing at Bohm, and I was tough on Castellanos today, but you're right. In the end, they're not getting what they hoped or what they're paying for from Turner, and that's another domino effect of all the problems. I mean, this
is the bottom line. Like, there's a lot of like angst over Alec Bohm and Brandon Marsh. Brandon Marsh is 4 for 30 this season, hitting 133 with a 490 OPS. Like, you go back again to the All-Star break last season, so we're not just using a 2-week sample size at the start of the year to pick them apart, but he's hitting 209 since the All-Star break in 24. He struck out in 36% of his at-bats. He struck out in 81 of his last 225 at-bats. That is abysmal. But the bottom line is, it's like, okay, yeah, we can talk about how Alec Bohm needs to take a step forward, or that Brandon Marsh needs to be better. Both points, very true. But at the end of the day, you need your stars to play like stars if you're paying them like stars. And you get a situation last night in the 10th inning where Trey Turner comes up, runner on third, less than 2 outs. Now, he had a big hit on Wednesday night, helped him win a ball game. But then you come back on Thursday, put the ball in play, get the run home, take the lead. You can't do it. Like, you need more out of that guy. You just do.
Yeah, you do, and the lineup has been this frustrating for 3-4 years now. You go back to 2022, even when they made the World Series, what let them down in the World Series was this conversation. And then they went out and got Trey Turner and thought that conversation would be fixed. It wasn't fixed, and now you're still down more of the same here. What's going to happen in center field in your mind?
Well, look, you go online and you see a lot of people banging the drum for Crawford, and I just don't think he's ready yet. And if you look at his numbers, like, he's cooled off a little bit here recently. I believe he's hitting 265 right now. There's no doubles, no homers, 2 triples. But you can't say, oh, Brandon Marsh isn't getting it done. Johan Rojas isn't getting it done. Now let's force this kid up who just turned 21 in January because I'm tired of looking at these other 2 guys. Like, I think you have to let that play out and let him mature and let him come up when the time is right. And I don't think that that's right now. I mean, it's April 11th, like, let that kid get some more run at AAA, get his legs underneath of him, and then see where you're at a couple months into the season. What's going to happen in center field? I don't know. I would have told you in October that there would be another center fielder on this roster at this point, and there's not. Like, the fact that they came in with Johan Rojas and Brandon Marsh again is mystifying to me. Like, I'm genuinely stunned that we are doing this again, and I'm not all that stunned that this is what they're getting out of these guys.
Now, you tweeted last night that you're not the biggest Bohm and Marsh guy, but they're not this bad. We went through Bohm. What is the expectation for Marsh? Because he's not only bad against lefties, he can't do anything against righties right now. Has he started to feel the pressure and the noise of I'm done with this guy. It's time to move on.
He has to. I mean, there's a human element to all of this, and he's been a flawed player throughout his tenure here, but he's also been a very well-received, likable player. Fans have looked at him very favorably, and I think we're kind of getting to a point here where we're at the fork in the road, where it's like, are you going to take the step and sort of become what we thought you might be able to become, or is this all you're ever going to be? And unfortunately for him, I think that he's probably feeling that a little bit now, and you've seen him sort of take an entire step backward, even against right-handers. I don't know. What I do know is that Brandon Marsh is not an everyday player. Do I think that he is better than what he has been here recently, and certainly at the start of this season? I do. But I think that it's quite clear at this point he's a part-time player.
Yeah, I would agree. Not a lot of pushback for me on that one, in fact. And the hard part is, too, Bob Wankel crossing broad. The hard part is, okay, let's play along. You bring Crawford up. He's left-handed. What happens to Marsh? Now you got another left-handed guy. I mean, so he's not a platoon player with two other left-handed players. This is why the Kepler decision is a little mystifying. At least you could say, all right, Marsh, we'll move you over to left, and then we'll try to find a guy that can platoon with you, like, Austin Hayes. I don't know.
I think that Dave Dombrowski has done a very good job at allowing this organization, kind of instilling some confidence and leadership in the organization. And I think that his presence has been instrumental in the Phillies getting back to a place where they expect to make the playoffs and they expect to compete for championships. But I do think that the complacency and the, I would say, passive approach this past offseason to the roster, I think that he is very open to be criticized. And I think it's very fair to criticize and question the way that they've constructed this roster and have left it largely unchanged in many ways. Now, look, Jesus Luzardo has been phenomenal, and that's a great move. And that looks like it could be a potentially, a real game changer for this team in the postseason. But like, there are some obvious holes.
Not if they can't score for him.
Yeah, not if they can't score for him. Yeah,
right. Are you back on the Romano train? Or I don't know. I don't want to put words in your mouth. I don't know that Bob Wankel was ever on it. I was a fan of that Romano sign. I loved him in Toronto. He was awesome for those 3 years. He's been awful. Last night, voila, 4 or 5 extra miles per hour, as if like, hey, no problems.
Yeah, look, I mean, he had a nice inning last night. I kind of view the Romano signing as they probably should not have counted on him to be a leverage, and I kind of did the air quotes thing as I said that, but like a leverage arm from the right side late in games to take down outs. He should have been more of like a luxury item. Like, and oh, by the way, if this pans out, then look out. We're really deep.
Agreed.
I think there was a little bit too much uncertainty. Just count on him and say like he's going to close games for us, and we have no doubt about it. That said, last night he topped out at 96.9 miles per hour. He averaged 95.9 with his four-seamer. That was up 1.5 miles per hour from his season average. So forget that he threw a clean inning. Just to see some life coming out of his hand was encouraging. It was a step forward. Am I ready to say, like, you're the closer? Absolutely not. But they're going to have to find a solution because they are so thin in that bullpen right now. Those guys are going to get burned out. They've had the luxury of 4 off days the first 15 days or 16 days of the season. And it still feels like Alvarado, Strahm, and Kerkering are overworked. Once they really get into the full cadence of the season, man, they really need someone else to step up.
All right, Bob Wankel crossing broad. I don't see the lineup out yet. Do you anticipate any changes, or they stick with the Bohm in the 7 or the Castellanos in the 4?
Oh man, I don't know. I'm curious to see what they do there. I think it would kind of be weird to go to Castellanos for one game in the 4 and say, nah, never mind, get out of there. I wouldn't be shocked if they left him in there, but it was so bad last night, and Bohm did show some signs of life that maybe they make that switch. One thing to keep in mind, though, Mike.
All right.
Phillies. Game ended at 12:54 local time last night. Had to jump on a plane and go to St. Louis. The Cardinals have not played since Wednesday afternoon. They played a 12:36 start time on Wednesday. So the Cardinals have had basically 2 full days off. Phillies get into St. Louis, and by the time their heads hit the pillow this morning, it was probably about 4:45 local time. That's a tough spot for the Phillies tonight. So they need Aaron Nola, who has not been very good so far this year, to step up and kind of win a ball game for him tonight.
All right, check the betting odds on that. Bob Wankel crossing broad. And by the way, the lineup will be a little later since it's an 8:15 start tonight out there in St. Louis. We'll have it for you when it comes out. Bob Wankel crossing broad here on a happy hour Friday. Have a nice cold one, man.
Oh, I might have about 5. I'll see you, Mike.
Whoa, 5 he goes up to
Big
today.
week. Big weekend coming up.
I like it. All right, man, there's Bob Wankel crossing broad here on the Sports Bash. Happy Hour Friday to him. Happy Hour Friday to one and all out there. What do you have it on this Friday? Let us know. 609-403-0973. Let us know what you're having this weekend. Give us some good picks for the weekend. It's supposed to be rainy. Sit out on the back porch, have a nice cold one. Courtesy of you guys. Let me know what you're having this weekend. Yeah, by the way, that Phillies game, it's a 8:15 start tonight. So last night kept you up late. Tonight gets you a little later. Tomorrow and Sunday, both 2:15 starts for the Phils. I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Live video streaming on the X platform, YouTube. Watch the show on your home TV, phone, tablet, device. YouTube.com/@MikeGillShow on the X platform as well. Hit the repost button. You can text in right now, 609-403-0973. What lineup you go with? Schwarber lead off, Turner lead off, or is it time just to say, I got to hit I got to hit Schwarber behind Harper? I'm not watching Harper get walked twice in a game so Castellanos can strike out 5 times. Let me know right now on the text board, 609-403-0973. Still to come, we got so much more on this Happy Hour Friday. We want you to be a part of it. And that means it's Knicks Nuggets today. We got Ryer Cy later on tonight. We got football at 4. And we got you at 609-403-0973. Be a part of the show. What are you doing with Schwarber? Leadoff, number 4. You got about a 12-game sample size. Which way do you feel better? That's coming up. This is the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. And there's another cue to call right now. Bang, 609-403-0973. 609-573-3776. Excuse me, 609-573-3776. Right now, caller 7. Dial as fast as you can. Get yourself in for a chance to win Eagles Club Box tickets for a game this year to see the Super Bowl champions at Lincoln Financial Field. You must be present to win at the Gallery at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. Don't worry, I got the parking, taking care of that for you guys. No pay to park for our qualifiers. But you could win a pair of tickets to see the Eagles play at Lincoln Financial Field, and that's all thanks to Ocean Casino Resort and the Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN. Stick around. Caller 7, good luck. All right, 3:29. Phil's tonight down in St. Louis. Wankel brought up an interesting point. Phil's probably didn't get to St. Louis till, in their beds till about 4 in the morning, maybe later. Earlier? What do you say in that situation?
Early morning, late night. Like what's the Jason Dixon line for when it's morning and night?
I don't know. If you got somewhere at 4 in the morning, you say, man, I got in late. Or I
would
got
say-
in early.
I would say I got in late.
Well, he would say that they got there, probably got to their beds around 4:30 in the morning.
It's way too late.
And the Cardinals have not played since Wednesday afternoon. Right now, Nola's plus 142. The Phillies are minus 115, so still not great there. St. Louis is minus 105 on the money line. So, they're still kind of favoring the Phillies in this situation. You might want to jump on the Cardinals.
I would say I might want to fade the Phillies here.
Well, you got 142 on Nola if you think you're not worried about them getting in at 4 o'clock in the morning, right? You get some at least plus value on the run line, plus 1.5 for the Phillies.
Is it a deal where you bet both ways? You take both dog bets and just you're like, oh, no matter what happens in this game, I'm going to win something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not in the mode of betting baseball quite yet. My basketball has been on fire, so I don't know how I did last night. I forget, but I think I took the Pistons last night.
You took the Pistons cover last night.
Yeah, I think they beat the Knicks.
I don't remember by how much though. They were losing at one point.
I thought they were,
and they came back.
I thought the Pistons were a dog though. They won outright. The game was in New York, I think. Did you watch any of the TNT finale?
I did.
Yeah,
I was watching some of that. That was real emotional stuff from Ernie.
I didn't get a chance to see that. I was watching the Phillies stuff, and then when the Phillies went to the rain delay, I missed.
Well, that's
all
when
that
I
stuff.
saw it. When the Phillies went to rain delay, I kind of looked up and I realized my social media feed was suddenly filled with clips.
I saw a
from
lot
that.
of that. I just haven't got a chance to do it yet.
I would say if you get the chance, especially for someone like you, Mike, who's really big in like the sports media stuff, I would say watch Ernie Johnson's speech. It's a few minutes long. It's very passionate. It's very emotional. He basically has like this talk to everybody who's worked ever at Turner Sports. It was a really big moment. By the way, the Pistons were favored last night heading into the game, and they covered the 3.5.
There you go. Well, that gives me a win. So there I did some work for you early.
I knew they won. I just didn't remember how much. Because
I know they won last night. I didn't remember
they
what
were
the line
losing
was.
at one point, and they charged back. Kate Cunningham had that one drive to the basket, and that changed the whole turn to the face of the game in the third quarter.
Kate Cunningham is becoming the star that nobody knows.
Yeah.
He was a number 1 overall pick, seemingly was, this guy's a nothing, and he is turning into a absolute bona fide star. He is becoming the Eastern Conference's Anthony Edwards.
Yes, just less vocal and demonstrative. He's a little more quiet.
I'm talking about a young player who didn't have immediate impact, but is now gone from 0 to 60.
Right.
Yeah.
I think also the thing with Cunningham is what should be noted is that you're talking about a guy who I think he can be what people thought Trae Young was going to be. Which is, when Trae Young was drafted, because remember, him and Luka were traded for each other. And the idea is that, maybe Trae Young could be on that Luka level. I think Trae Young is very, very good, but I don't think he's ever got the Luka level. I think
one of the problems with Trae Young that's different from Cade Cunningham, right? The one problem with Trae Young is he's a tremendous volume scorer, shooter.
Right.
But the one problem with him is he's so small. Trae is 6'1". Cade Cunningham's a big dude. He's like 6'7".
But the other thing is, Cade, his game is more well-rounded than Trae's is.
Yeah, I'm saying I don't really put them in the same. The problem with Trae Young, he's just so small. You're not going to win with a 6'1" score first guard. I think we watched that in Philly. A guy who could and Trae Young is probably a better shooter than Allen Iverson was, right? He could shoot the 3 better than Allen could.
Shoot 3 better, yeah.
Yeah. But it's hard with a 6'1" lead guard to win. Cade Cunningham is 6'6". Cade Cunningham is almost a double-double guy. He gets 10 rebounds a night.
Yeah.
So I don't I respectfully disagree with that comparison.
That's fine. I will never. I know that Trey and Luka are always going to be intertwined because they were
Trey
traded
and
for each
Luka
other.
will because they traded for each other, but they're certainly not the same player.
Right, but I mean, like the way people measured Trey at times was against Luka, and to me, it's like I look at Cade and I think he can be closer to that Luka type of impact. Than
He would
Trey
be
can.
more Luka than Trey. I would agree with that. Yes, bigger guy, rebound, shoot, does it all. I mean, he is absolutely. The Pistons. Who would have thought the Pistons right now would have any impact in the Eastern Conference at all? I mean, right now the Pistons, they are the 6th seed. They're going to play the Knicks probably in the first round and feel pretty damn good about it. The Knicks could be a one and done first-round exit team that loses to the 6th after adding Karl Anthony Towns and Bridges in the offseason.
I just double-checked it. So the Knicks were leading by 6 heading into the second half, and that's when the Pistons turned the game around.
By the way, the Sixers tonight, they play the Hawks.
Speaking of Trae Young.
Yeah. So the Hawks, the game matters for them a little bit because they are 2 behind Orlando for 7, which is probably not going to happen. But they could get caught by the Bulls, and they could fall down to 9.
Ooh.
And then if you're in the 9 spot, you could be one and done. At least if you're in the 7-8, you have the opportunity to slip up in the one game and then play again if you lose.
Yeah.
Now, the West is a total jumbled mess over there where you've got Denver 4, Clippers 5, Warriors 6, Memphis 7, Grizzlies 8, and they're all within one game of each other. Denver is 48-32. They're the 4 seed. Minnesota is 47-33. They're the 8 seed. Can you imagine if this was back in the day when it was just the 8 teams and they were all jockeying to get the 8s to try to get out of the 8 because you don't want to play Oklahoma City.
Right.
How about this? If I told you at the beginning of the year the 1 seed would be Oklahoma City and the 2 seed would be the Rockets, 2 teams that have really
The Rockets is the most surprising one.
Yeah, Oklahoma City was the 1 seed last year.
Oklahoma City we know they're a young ascending team, but the Rockets being the 2 seed, no one saw that coming.
What about Oklahoma City and Houston famously made a trade with one another about a decade and a half ago, and here they are laughing at the fact that James Harden, the big member of that trade, is the 5 seed, and Oklahoma City and Houston have emerged as the 1 and the 2. The Lakers are the 3, Denver's the 4, the Clippers are the 5, the Warriors are the 6, and then Memphis, Minnesota, the 2 teams that are locked in, and they're not locked into their spots, but they can't get out of the play-in.
Right.
Sacramento and Dallas got in. Dallas, after trading Luka and all that stuff, they
injuries.
ended up getting into the play-in matchups, and I'm sure they're not thrilled about that. But Phoenix, with Booker and Durant and all the moves that they have made, you would have to say, if you're the owner down there, you have got to blow that thing up. And I don't know how you do it. They're stuck with the Bradley Beal thing. I heard Evan Cohen this morning was talking about the 2 teams that he's watching the most the day the regular season ends is Phoenix and Philadelphia to see what ends up happening with, are they going to fire coaches? Are they going to fire GMs? Is there going to be changes? How do these 2 teams that have mega contracts and stars did not make the playoffs, where do they go from here? I think that's a great point by Evan Cohen.
I think the only difference, though, is that I think for the Suns, their future is much more doomsday than the Sixers, because the Sixers, it was mostly just injuries that derailed their season. It was injuries, bad luck, a roster that was built around with the idea of Joel Embiid being healthy. He wasn't healthy. The Suns, I mean, they're just a dumpster fire to the umpteenth power. Like they look like they're lost at times out there. Durant looks disinterested. I mean, the players on the bench look like they don't want to be there. Like, it's ugly.
Well, I mean, they had a little bit of injury issues as well. Bradley Beal missed.
Not the same level as the Sixers, though.
Beal's missed about 30 games. Durant's missed like 20 games. Booker's missed like 10 games. Not to the same level of the Sixers, but still, that's the only 3 guys they have. They are, after those three, the problem was they did so much just to get those three, that they have nothing now. Nurkic has only played 25 games this year.
Yeah, the Nurkic injury did hurt them. It
Yeah.
hurt my fantasy basketball team.
So they, too, have had a ton of injuries. Not to the level of the Sixers, I'll give you that, but they also had to deal with injury problems. And now Kevin Durant, he's getting older. Beal is not nearly the guy that he once was, so that's something to keep an eye on. As Evan Cohen said this morning, Sixers and Suns, the two non-playoff teams, what happens there. But the NBA season this Sunday is the last day. The Sixers will play the Bulls, and you can hear that game on 97.3 ESPN as the season thankfully comes to a close for this team. It's really – I love when the NBA playoff this time of the year where we always have so much ready to go, who they getting ready to play. We're all excited to see if this is the year they get out of the second round. And maybe they need this, right? Maybe the Sixers are like the wrestling character that needs to be written off television for a while and just go away. We could use a season where they don't get disappointed in the first round by the Knicks, get knocked out in the second round when you thought they should get out of the second round. Maybe they just need to be written off TV for a little while here. This might be the best thing for them, not to have to play these extra games. All of these guys, Maxey, George, Embiid. Well, Embiid's getting surgery again, but nobody has played for months. They come back refreshed, clear mind. Everybody's dogging them. They're the worst. Everybody hates them. And then they get, the music hits, and here they come. And you hope that that's the storyline that ends up really hitting, because they probably could use some time away. I think, you're the social media guy who has to put out, like, the graphics and stuff for the X platform or whatever else. It's like, oh, man, can this season please just end? I got to really put out, like, hey, we lost tonight.
Well, you got to put out graphics of guys who shouldn't even be playing on the team. Like, you're putting out graphics of guys that no one's ever heard of before. And you're like, how do I hype this guy up? How do I make him look exciting? Like, that's got to be a tough gig right now to be like.
No doubt.
But, like, I got to investigate who Justin Edwards is. Like,
well, Justin Edwards is a guy they drafted. The
best example.
The question throughout all of this has become, which of these guys are guys? I mean, Yabusele, he can play. Can you bring him back? Lonnie Walker was a guy who was a first-round pick a couple of years. Is he someone that you're interested in? What do you do with Oubre? Jared McCain will be back. Apparently, Jared McCain's going to be on the broadcast tonight. Is he doing color or something tonight? He's going to be a part of the broadcast.
I didn't even know he's part of the broadcast, to be honest with you. That's how closely I'm following Sixers social media.
Maxey, obviously, can he regain and get healthy? I would imagine Lowry is done. Quentin Grimes, what happens to him? He's a free agent.
I would like to see Grimes come back.
Eric Gordon, obviously, he'll be gone. I don't know
God.
what his contractual situation is, though, so I don't know if he signed a 2-year deal.
I thought he was a 1-1. Let me pull it up.
Hopefully. Paul George, get healthy. Joel Embiid, really get healthy. Justin Edwards, they really found something with him. He was an undrafted rookie free agent. Drummond, I would imagine, is done. Jeff Dalton, is he a guy that you view as some sort of backup point guard?
So Eric Gordon's contract next year is a player option.
Oof.
So that's
Yeah, if I'm Eric Gordon, I player option my ass right back into a spot.
I mean that's it's $3.4 million though.
Not a lot of money. Okay.
Not a crazy lot of money. So at least if he does option in, you're not like it's not you're not crying about it.
Ricky Council can't play.
He was a nice story for a couple of weeks.
Jared Butler, probably a guy that they would move on from. Adem Bona, I think one of the things in this whole mess is that you said, okay, Bona can play a little bit. Now, I don't know to what level. Is he a guy that in the playoffs can play 12 to 15 minutes if Embiid is healthy and he's the backup center?
But maybe he's a guy that makes you say, I don't need an Andre Drummond anymore.
Well, I
to be
think
my regular
Drummond's done,
season.
yeah.
No, I mean that kind of player. Like I don't need a Drummond type of player to be Joel Embiid's backup. Has Bona done enough to say over an 82-game schedule, I feel comfortable going to him?
609-403-0973. Anthony in Ventnor says, guys, what about Stott leadoff, Turner, Harper, Schwarber, Castellanos? The problem with Stott in the leadoff spot is you got another lefty up there. Now it's the third. It's a lefty, then a righty, then two lefties. it's outside the box. It's not the worst thing because, Stott has gotten off to an okay start. He's not hitting the ball all that hard. He's got these little flares and bloopers and just like cue shots, but
I don't think Stott has the approach to be a leadoff hitter. The leadoff hitter needs to be a certain level of one, measured.
Base has been pretty good, 364 this year. Now, that's not his normal numbers.
No, it's not his normal numbers. I don't think his approach is great. Number two, for the Phillies, the way their lineup has been built, they need the one-hole hitter to turn the lineup over when you get to the bottom of the lineup.
How do you do that?
Well, for example, you
said if you're the leadoff hitter, you want to turn the lineup over to the bottom of the lineup.
From the bottom of the lineup, I said. So the idea being those bottom 2-3 hitters, you keep burying guys like Marsh down there. Well, if those guys happen to get on base, do you really believe Stott's going to drive them in?
That's the thing. I don't think Stott's an impactful enough bat. When your point is valid. You get back to the top of the lineup, you want a guy that you're like, all right, now we're at the top. The one thing I will say for Stott, he battles, he fouls pitches off. He has not. He's 282, 364. If you want to say, hey, right now, I don't see it happening. I mean, put it this way.
Yeah.
I don't think that guy's a nut for suggesting that.
I don't think it's a nut.
But it goes back to, I'm moving him to try to do that. I'm trying to do this to put this guy here because this guy's not good enough, and I'm a bat short.
At some point, you got too many left-handers, and you want your big three at the top of the lineup in some way or another. You don't want to have a scenario where if you got a big at-bat in a big situation that Schwarber, Harper, or Turner are not at bat.
Yeah, if you had two on at the bottom of the lineup and you got back to the top and Stott was the guy up, you're thinking, meh. That's a meh.
The meh.
Yeah. Sadly, Trey Turner's a meh most of the time, too.
Although he finally started to hit a little bit the last few days.
Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Jim in Ocean City is our 3 o'clock hour qualifier. This hour of the show is brought to you by Broadlee's Plumbing, Heating, Air Conditioning, your trusted source for heating, plumbing, service, and installation. Broadlees.net. Give them a call right now if you have any heating, plumbing, air conditioning issues getting ready for the summer season. You don't want that all messed up. 609-390-3907. All right. Football at 4 is on the way. Adam Caplan's in the house today. What are we going to get into? Well, the Eagles have added a former second-round pick at wide receiver, an intriguing name. We'll talk about that in 13 minutes from now on the Sports Bash. All right, 3:52 on a Friday. Happy hour Friday, everybody. Where are you having one this weekend? Give me a good one. 609-403-0973. Rico chimes in, says, leadoff hitter needs to make pitcher throw some strikes, protect the plate by fouling off pitches. Back in the day, they might actually lay down a bunt. Well, we're not back in the day, but a lot of those qualities would be good for the leadoff hitter. Foul off some pitches, throw some pitches, make them throw strikes, give the guys behind you in the lineup a chance to see some stuff. I think that is something that Stott does pretty well. He'll foul pitches off. They'll kind of battle up there. He's just not an impactful guy that when the lineup gets turned over that you're all that, like, jazzed up about. You know, when the lineup turns over and you see Schwarber come up, you're like, all right, here we go. Now we got the top of the lineup up. To some extent, when Turner comes up, not as much. Disappointingly so, by the way. So I do agree that, again, it goes back to the Phillies just don't have – they're a guy short, right? They're a guy short in the lineup because Schwarber's not Bugs Bunny. He can't hit leadoff and number 4.
And it goes back to the whole signing of Kepler. It's the idea that what frustrated people like myself, Mike, was that you didn't sign a guy to add to this lineup. You signed another guy who looks like other guys in the lineup.
Yeah. I think if you – because I say the Bugs Bunny thing. Okay, Turner, let's put him 4 behind to protect Harper. Well, now I put Turner at 1. Now I don't have a 2-hole hitter because Stott's left-handed.
Right.
Okay, put Stott at 1. I don't know that he's really the best option to be a leadoff guy. All right, right now, bonus chances for you to qualify. Text the word draft, your name, and where you're from. Text the word draft, your name, and where you're from to 609-403-0973. First 3 text messages we get right now, we'll notify you. You will be entered for a chance to win a pair of Eagles Club Box tickets. These are Club Box seats at Lincoln Financial Field for a game this season, Eagles home game. We'll be live at Ocean Casino Resort the day of the draft, April 24th at the Gallery Bar Book and Games. Text draft, your name, and where you're from right now. Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast, brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. We'll do the Bet365 play of the day coming up a little bit later on in the show. But right now, it's Football at 4 with Adam Caplan from the Inside the Birds podcast at InsideTheBirds.com. The Eagles made a under-the-radar signing yesterday, late in the day. We'll talk about that. We'll also get into some off-season stuff here with Adam on a Friday edition of Football at 4 here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Happy Friday, Adam. What's going on, man?
Yeah, Mike, less than 2 weeks from the draft, 13 days away. Looking forward to discussing more of that as we go forward. And I do want to bring up something which I could not believe what I heard on Wednesday. I want you to confirm this for me. Did I hear you bring up on Football 4 with Jeffrey P. Mosher? Did I hear you bring up the name of Ron Solt? Did I hear that right?
Yeah, Ron Solt. Yeah, they brought him in to play guard, and he stunk.
That was, okay, so for folks who are not over 40 years old, Ron Solt was a big-time guard for the Colts, and the Eagles brought him in, paid him big-time money, and it just didn't work. And this is, if you remember, in the 80s and 90s, for several years, the Eagles had one of the worst offensive lines in football.
Yeah.
It's just funny how you fast forward a couple decades later, and now they have arguably the best. It's funny how that works out.
Well, and that was the genesis of the conversation was, the Eagles are boring on draft day, and they always go offensive line, and that is a complete turnaround from when I grew up. They had one of the worst offensive lines, and they, finally to try to fix their offensive line, they go out and spend money on this guy, Ron Solt, and he gets popped for steroids, and then he had some sort of injury or something that basically he was a nothing burger for them.
So what's interesting, Mike, is, and you talk about boring, so you really go back to early in Howie Roseman's tenure as general manager. It was 2013. The Eagles wind up drafting Lane Johnson. Well, I don't know if you're aware of this. You may be. If the Eagles had their way, because Chip Kelly wanted Deion Jordan, who he coached at Oregon, and what happened is the Dolphins traded up in front of the Eagles to get him, and the Eagles not only got Lane Johnson. What's comical is the Eagles were working on a trade to get Jordan later, a couple of years down the road, and Jordan had an off-the-field problem, so the Eagles wound up not trading for him. So it's kind of funny. Some of it, Mike, and you obviously have to give Howie credit for that 2013 draft and Lane Johnson, who it'll be a discussion someday whether he should get in the Hall of Fame. And obviously, if he doesn't get in, it's strictly because of the suspension. So. But that obviously has turned out to be a great draft pick. But there is some luck involved, Mike, sometimes, where things just the board falls your way, or a team in front of you or behind you makes a mistake trading up for a player who winds up not being very good. But the bottom line is you want to take the luck out of it as much as you can. Yes, some of it is luck. You're making an evaluation on 20, 21, and 22-year-olds. Just imagine if when you and I were that age, people were trying to make an evaluation of us. It's very difficult. But fast forwarding here, Mike, there's a reason why Howie's turned his career around as a general manager. That he's heading now for potentially his fifth excellent draft in a row. The past four were really good, and there's a reason why when Jeff Mosher and I, speaking of the Eagles and where they look at where they're ranked, Jeff and I did a new show. Something we had not done before. We did actually power rankings before the draft for the first time, and oh boy, the social engagement. People have had the people have either loved what we had to say or they're pissed off at us. It's kind of funny, especially me. It's funny.
Well, we'll take a look at that in just a second, but I first want to get to the Eagles. Kind of a sneaky little signing yesterday. A former second-round pick, was a real big college guy on a team that won the national championship with Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and Terrence Marshall Jr. was with Carolina. I remember a couple of years ago when he was with Carolina, there were people that used to text in and saying, hey, you got to trade for him. They want to get rid of him. You need a wide receiver. He's a big guy, runs, under the radar, or just meh?
I'll be honest with you, Mike. I've known about this guy for a long time. Terrace Marshall, right? It's not Terrence, just for the folks there. It's Terrace Marshall. It took me a while to get it right. He had a very unique name. So Terrace Marshall is what we call a run after the catch receiver. He's not what you would call like fast, but runs well for his size. But talk to a Panther source about him. If you could get him in open space, he could be productive. But slender build, didn't play with a lot of confidence. could not transfer what he would do in practice to the games, and they had enough of him. They changed front offices, and they didn't want him, and he was with the Raiders last season, barely played. So he's now with his third team. This is his fifth year, Mike. Look, he came to the right spot because, let's face it, Mike, Jahan Dotson is on the final year of his rookie deal, right? He's their 3. They don't know who their 4 and 5 is going to be. Johnny Wilson's a blocking receiver. He doesn't really factor in other than the block. He isn't sure he can catch the ball yet. So he's got a chance to make the roster. And again, as you mentioned, he's a second-round pick. At one point, Howie thought of, but his career's kind of tumbled here, and Howie's had a lot of luck. He's done a really good job of bringing these guys in who have a lot to prove, and this is yet another guy who was a high-round draft pick that's coming in here and trying to get a role.
Yeah, second-round pick, LSU, played the slot at LSU, so maybe he can get into the slot here and give them a little something.
He's really not, though. Just talking to he did in college play inside, but he played the Panthers. Someone in the Panthers told me they saw him more as an outside receiver. But, Mike, what they really need is someone on the outside who could run, who could back up. And, by the way, he's bigger. He's bigger physically than Jahan Dotson in terms of height.
Yeah.
So let's see what happens. He's going to have a real shot here. I know it's a long shot, but they need help as backup outside receivers for sure.
All right, let's get into Adam Caplan's playoff power rankings for 2025, teams that you are predicting to make the playoffs and where they kind of sit in your hierarchy.
All right, so Jeff and I did 2 shows. We kind of split it up. We did 14 through 8 on Monday, and then today's show we did 7 through 1, right? We start from the back. Then we had a little fun. We ranked the 5 worst teams on Monday. Now, I could tell you, though, Mike, the common denominator, if you just went through power rankings, if you and I spent 2 hours doing our own power rankings for 32 teams, majority of the teams that are bad, they have quarterback problems or offensive line problems that are connected to the quarterback. And it's just funny how that works. So let's go to my 14th team. Now, this one was not easy. I put the Bengals at 14. Now, look, they've taken care of their receivers. They've got the quarterback. They brought Mike Gesicki back, the former Penn State tight end, who actually did a nice job. Offensively, they're going to be terrific. Now, defensively, they're almost non-competitive last season. Under Lou Anarumo was fired. He's now with the Colts as their defense coordinator. Al Golden, you might remember, is Temple's head coach.
I do, yes.
Pretty crazy. He's going to be their defense coordinator. So my thinking this year is this. They're going to somehow figure out to make Trey Hendrickson happy. They can't trade him. Sam Hubbard, their other starting defensive end, retired suddenly. So they got to help out everybody there, and they got to get a better defense. But they also have to, Mike, they've got to address their offensive line. They're going to score a ton of points. That won't be a problem. They got to help their defense. Now, you can make the argument they shouldn't be a playoff team. They're right on the fringe to me, but I got them at number 14.
Yeah, that's a team that has all the firepower. We're going to see what happens with Trey Hendrickson, though, on draft night. I mean, that could be shaking some things up over there. All right, these let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm trying to see. Well, the Bengals did not make the playoffs. Did they make the playoffs last year? I think they missed the playoffs. They look like, oh, nope, there's another team in there. So it looks like you got 2 new playoff teams in here. Who's after Cincinnati?
All right, so this team is like a perennial division winner in the NFC South, the Buccaneers. I'd like to put them higher, but again, we're doing this before the draft, so they have to dress cornerback where they were bad last season. They have to dress their pass rush. Jason Light, their GM, dressed really well, but they don't have enough blue-chip players. We know their offense will be great. Mike Evans is great. He'll be back. He'll be a Hall of Famer. They got Chris Godwin back. He's got to get healthy. He's had a number of injuries. They're really good at running back. Their offensive line's okay. I don't worry about their offense. Their defense has got to be better, but they're the kings of the NFC South. So I got them at number 13.
Yeah, they are a team that obviously I like what you said. They've got a lot of good players. They just don't have like those great players. It's just kind of an average team. Yeah, blue chip players. All right, coming in next at number 12.
This is the first controversial one. I struggled with this one. J.J. McCarthy, who we're talking about, the Vikings here at number 12 for me. J.J. McCarthy, he looked great, but that was in the preseason, Mike. He hasn't practiced or played since last August, early August, that is. They're going to go with him going forward. And by the way, Kevin O'Connor, their head coach, confirmed it was Aaron Rodgers who contacted them. They didn't contact Aaron Rodgers, so clearly it's It's J.J. McCarthy going forward, and they're going to go with him. But they're another team, Mike. They kind of overachieve. Their offensive lines are not very good. That's a problem, but they're unbelievably skilled at receiver and at tight end. Defensively, their talent isn't great overall, but Brian Flores is arguably the NFL's best defense coordinator. He's certainly right up there with Vic Fangio. So they'll be good. I'm going to take a leap of faith here. I'm going to believe that J.J. McCarthy, based on what I know behind the scenes, is going to be good. And I believe they'll be somehow a playoff team.
Okay, Adam Caplan's power rankings. These are his projected playoff teams. 14 teams will make the playoffs. So far, Bengals, Buccaneers, Vikings, and I think this is the first kind of – well, you said the Vikings controversial. Probably. Yep. This team will probably be there as well.
Yeah, this team has gone through a lot of personnel changes, but they're going to get Christian McCaffrey back healthy, Brock Purdy back healthy. That's those 49ers. They're a team that's somewhat in transition, but they're still very skilled on both sides of the football, getting Trent Williams back at left tackle. Look, they had a lot of guys hurt last season. Ayuk will be back from the ACL. Yeah, you got to see him run, but I'm going to be a little bit bullish on them more than other people. I believe that Kyle Shanahan's a great coach, and we'll get them on the right path. I got them at 11.
Okay, number 11 for the Niners. We'll see how they bounce back after not making the playoffs this year, losing some key players as well. Coming up at number 10, we get into the top 10 now. Let's see where we go.
So if we put together an all-knowing team, it would be the Packers. Why do I say that? Every year they're good. Every year they fizzle in the playoffs. Like, they have a good roster. It's hard to knock their roster, but here's the problem, Mike. They have, from 1 to 22, they have probably a top 5 roster, top 7, but guess what? Very few blue-chip players. And Jordan Love is very talented, so Jekyll and Hyde, very streaky. He's got to be more consistent. Matt LaFleur, bad playoff coach, good regular season coach. They're at number 10 for me, the Green Bay Packers.
Packers obviously got bounced by the Eagles. They played on opening night, and a lot of people thought the Packers would be a Super Bowl contender after what they did in the playoffs the year before. A little bit of a step back. Team that took a huge step forward is number 9.
Yeah, I missed on them last year, the Commandos. I didn't see this. They've been so bad for so long, but it just shows you the value of a quarterback. And it's interesting, last year, Mike, if you polled NFL people, they'd say, wow, not a very good roster. The quarterback carried them in really good coaching. Well, they addressed their offensive line with Laramie Tunsil. They needed one. They got Deebo Samuel in there, so they needed another pass target. They got a good one if healthy. They need a little bit more juice at the skill positions, but they're going to be good there. Great defensive scheme. They added a bunch of help on defense. They're right there. Now, I have them at 9. If I could flip-flop it, I would probably put the Commandos at 9, and the team I'm going to talk about now, Mike, are the Texans at 8. They've got, to me, on paper, a top 3 defense. They could be elite there. They have the quarterback. They got to protect him better. The reason why I don't have the Texans higher, Mike, is what was Nick Caserio doing, their general manager? He trades Laramie Tunsil. Clearly, they didn't want him anymore, and they got a bunch of draft picks. But they have a makeshift. This is a patchwork offensive line. It doesn't work, and that's why I don't have the Texans higher than 8.
All right. That one's interesting. The AFC ones, I think, are more difficult than – I think the NFC teams right now seem pretty locked into place. Let's go to an AFC team, and they made the playoffs last year, and you have at number 7 the Chargers.
Yeah, the Bolts. They're another team that I didn't see being a playoff team in Jim Harbaugh's first year, but give Jesse Minter credit, who was his defensive coordinator at Michigan. He brought him over there with him from Michigan. Greg Roman and Atlantic City's own Greg Roman, who did a great job with their offense. And they overachieved. Now, they've had a nice offseason so far. They've added some critical pieces on both sides of the football. Mostly, well, it's kind of like, okay, they got backed in. They've solidified their offensive line, which they needed to do. They addressed tight end. I like Tyler Conklin a lot. They addressed a couple defensive positions. Now, they need more help on defense, especially in the secondary, but they're just really well coached. Don't underestimate them at number 7, those Chargers.
Yeah, Chargers last year kind of surprised, I think. Number 6 surprised last year, even with their quarterback situation, but we still don't know what their quarterback situation is. You don't seem to mind.
No, now, see, I was right about them. I like that over last year. I don't know where the odds makers had 7.5. I mean, I thought they'd be a 9 or 10 win team, and that's kind of where they were. But Yeah, they don't have the quarterback. Running back, they need a little help. Offensive line, they're going to be really good. Defensively, they're going to be really good. Can't put them higher than 6. Look, if you want to put the Commanders over them, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I got the Steelers at number 6.
Yeah, Steelers at number 6. I probably would push back on that if we had a full-fledged debate on that one. Number 5, low. We'll go to Western New York.
Some people think I'm low on the Bills, but again, Mike, you can't win a Super Bowl without enough blue-chip players. Okay, Josh Allen's blue-chip. James Cook is a very good running back. He's an elite, but he certainly was better than most people thought. They're not good enough at receiver. They've got a bunch of number 2s and number 3s. Offensive line is slightly above average. Defensively, good scheme. They execute well. Not enough blue-chip players. They're the Bills at number 5, Mike. They're good, but they're not great.
Yeah, I'm in the boat with you there. Listen, I know I've said the same thing. I just feel like the Bills they're a good team, not a great team, and sometimes Allen elevates them to have a flashier record than really they are throughout regular seasons where they beat up on some teams. Let's go to number 4 and check out maybe the biggest adversary to the Eagles in the NFC.
Yeah, I was on them 3 years ago when no one was really talking about them. I just love Brad Holmes. Their GM has done a great job, but the one area he just can't get right, they need edge rushers. You saw what happened when Aiden Hutchinson got hurt. You got to have depth. You got to have at least 3 guys to go rush the passer. They only had one that cost them. Too many problems in their secondary at corner with injuries. They think they've addressed it with DJ Reed at corner. They're going to be good. They have to address the edge rusher issue. That they're not going to be any higher until they do that. But right now they're still really good at number 4, the Lions.
All right, the Lions at number 4, and next 2 teams, both AFC teams here. You got 2 teams in the AFC and 1 team from the NFC. Let's round out the top 3.
All right, 3. I wish I could rank this team lower, but I can't. I could have had the Lions over the Chiefs. I have the Chiefs at number 3. You've got still problems on their offensive line. They brought in Jalen Moore to be their left tackle, who is probably better as a 6th lineman, a pretty good backup left-right tackle. But they've got it. Their offensive line's got problems. Mahomes has really been on the fading. His numbers faded the last 2 seasons. Travis Kelce probably should have retired. Mike, elite defense, no doubt. They're good, but not great. They're just, Mike, I know they're incredible in the regular season. Look, they made the Super Bowl, so they're obviously really good, but there's something missing from this football team. That's why I've got the Ravens at number 2. I get it. Lamar Jackson, one of the best regular season quarterbacks in NFL history. I don't know what the problem is in the playoffs other than the schedule gets harder, but they're really, really good, really well coached. Eagles handled them in Baltimore, no doubt. But the bottom line is I have the Ravens at number 2.
All right, and that puts Philadelphia at number 1. Adam Caplan's power rankings of the 14 teams he thinks will make the playoffs, which means, Adam, by my count here, you have Denver not making the playoffs this year, but
we're the Rams.
Or the Rams, I was going to say. But you also have the Rams out. And a lot of people think the Rams, they won the division. They gave the Eagles all they can handle. They went out and added Devontae Adams. But you think they're going to take a step back?
Well, again, this is before the draft. I want to see what they do in the draft. They draft, by the way, really well. But they're not – they're a team that if you went through their 22 projected starters, you go, wow, this is not the most talented team, but they overachieve. They got the head coach. They got the quarterback. But – the Broncos, they came out of nowhere. They're going to come. I think they come down to reality this year. Really good on defense. They have a harder schedule than they did last year.
All right, what's more likely to happen then? Because Denver is that team that came out of nowhere. Washington kind of came out of nowhere last year.
Yeah.
Their schedule significantly more challenging now. Do they take the step back? It doesn't sound like you think they will.
That's a popular call, Mike. I know, it's funny. That's been brought up to me a bunch of times on national interviews. No, because they're building around the quarterback, and I like that, where sometimes, like the Giants, they overachieved year 1. They did not address the positions they needed to address, and they didn't have the quarterback, and then they paid him. And that was a problem. But let's finish this off. I've got the Eagles at number 1. There are 10 starters back on offense, and quite frankly, it's not a big deal that Becton's back. Becton was not as good as people thought he was. Good, but not great. They'll be great on offense. Defensively, they need 4 players. They need a D tackle. They need an inside backer. They need a corner and a safety. But But again, it's where they are now. So they have seven. So basically, Mike, they're good with 17, 18 players. They need 4 more starters on defense. They'll be fine. Here's the thing, Mike. They're the only NFL team that's got 6 blue chip players or more. That's unheard of, Mike. It's because Howie's dominated the draft, and also in free agency with Saquon Barkley, which you rarely get blue chip players in free agency, Mike. It's just the way it is. Usually, you get them in the draft. So the shell of the team, Mike, is still elite. That's why they're my number 1 team right now.
There you go. Adam Caplan's 14 playoff teams power rankings. If you want to hear more, check out the Inside the Birds podcast, Football at 4. And, of course, we're getting you ready for the draft. We are less than 2 weeks away. We'll have more of that as well here on the Sports Bash. All right, Adam, have a good weekend, man.
You too. Thanks.
I enjoyed the conversation today. I always like, a little debate back and forth. The one team I would say, I got to put the Rams in mine. Rams would be in my top 14 teams if I'm just going playoff teams right now. It's interesting. Which NFC playoff teams that made it last year would you think are out? I think Philadelphia would be in. I think Washington would be in. I think Detroit would be in. I think Green Bay would be in. I think Tampa would be in. And I think the Rams would be in. That's 5 right there, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, so I got room for 2 more. So 2 new teams could possibly enter. Could the Bears jump over Minnesota? Can Atlanta jump over Green Bay? Can Dallas somehow wiggle its way in there? I think that would be the storylines on the NFC side of things. I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Hanging out on a happy hour Friday. Let us know what you're having on this happy hour Friday. It's easy to do. 609-403-0973 on the text board. Happy hour Friday as always here on the Sports Bash. Let us know what you're having. Local South Jersey brews. Where are you getting it? Where should I try for the weekend? 2 afternoon Phillies games. Your happy hour Friday picks could help. 609-403-0973. Let us know what you're having this weekend for the Phillies game, even tonight, if you have a suggestion for me. Love to hear it. I want to tell you about my friends at Game Day Men's Health, Egg Harbor Township. Get stronger, get healthier, feel like your old self. Get back in the game, guys. You'll wish you did it sooner. Why wait? Call Game Day Men's Health, Egg Harbor Township, 609-365-7088. Visit them on English Creek Avenue. It's 15-minute free consultation, testosterone test, on-site lab, in and out. Check them out. Game Day Men's Health. More Sports Bash coming up on 97.3 ESPN. It's Nicky Nuggets. Right now, your cue to call. Caller 7, 609-573. 3776 609-573-3776. Caller number 7 right now. You are entered for this year's Eagles draft party at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. We'll be at the Gallery Bar Book and Games. Caller number 7 609-573-3776. You must be present to win at the Gallery Bar Book and Games at Ocean Casino Resort on the day of the draft. We've got a ton of prizes, huge show, but you must be present to win the Eagles Club Box seats, and all of the prizes we'll be bringing out with us that day. Caller 7 right now. Good luck. All right, 4:30 Sports Bash, time for Nick's Nuggets. Nick's Nuggets are brought to you by The Hub, gear that works as hard as you do. No one works as hard as Nicky Nuggets. He joins us each and every day at this time for Nick's Nuggets here on the Sports Bash. He is the host of the Shift podcast. He's producer of The Locker Room weekends on 97.3 ESPN. And right here on the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Let's bring him in for a Friday edition, a happy hour Friday edition after the Phillies lose 2-3. How happy are we? Nick Earnshaw is here with another edition of Nick's Nuggets. What's going on, Nick?
Oh, Mike, what's going on, man? How are you? Listen, those rain delays are always tough, those games, right? Staying up late, trying to watch it. Now, did you make it through the whole thing last night? Whole rain delay? Nice.
Yep.
Nice. I started dozing. I'm like in and out.
Watched the game, then the rain. Went to a little Love on the Spectrum on Netflix, and then went back as soon as the game back at 11:30. Shifted to the bedroom, watched the last, took about another half hour, 45 minutes. As soon as the game was over, as soon as Ozuna hit that ball, I turned the TV off, and I was done.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Yeah, see, I went out to dinner last night, had some wings, and was watching the game there. Then we were trying to wait out the rain delay. Wow, let's just go. Let's get out of here. So went back home. Chilled out for a little bit. I was in and out. I was dozing off, but I did see the Ozuna walk off, and I was like, all right, that's it for me. Now I could definitely be out. So those are always tough. And now it's going to be later because now you have the St. Louis with the hour behind.
Yeah, you got the 8 o'clock plus 8:15, I guess it is tonight. And then tomorrow you got 2:15 and 2:15 on Sunday.
Yep. So you get the 8 o'clock game tonight. You get the afternoon games tomorrow. So, I got to book it out after Schweiner's show tomorrow so I can catch the game because, he'll be talking for an hour after the show. All right. Let's get into these Nuggets. Nugget number one. And, I hate to already start to bring this up, but the trade deadline, okay? It's April. What's going to be more important in your estimation, Mike Gill? I have my answer. I want to know your answer and maybe even the audience's answer out there. At the trade deadline this year, and it's the same question we talked about last year. Nothing's changed, clearly. What's more important at the deadline, an outfield bat or a bullpen arm? Which are you prioritizing, Mike Gill?
There is no right answer there. It would be 1 and 1A, really. I mean, they are neck and neck. It's a steel cage hell in the cell match of what you need more of. I mean, right now, I would probably say would be the bat. And you would say, wait, what are you kidding me? And my answer would be because at least I have a couple extra starters that I could put in the bullpen. I mean, I'll put Ranger Suarez in the bullpen if I have to. Somebody else could possibly go to the bullpen. I don't know who that is. It's not going to be Zach Wheeler. That we know. It's not going to be Jesus Luzardo. It's not going to be Christopher Sanchez. You're going to put Aaron Nola in the bullpen? I mean, right now he would be your fourth guy. You got Suarez, and then you got Painter on the way. Let's say Painter comes up and dazzles. I don't think they would use him in the bullpen just because of all the arm problems that he has had. I don't think anybody feels confident about Taijuan Walker being a key member of your bullpen. So Suarez would certainly be a guy you could deploy into your bullpen. So to answer the question fairly, one over the other, I think it's got to be the bat. I mean, this lineup, again, too short, missing a bat, at least one, maybe two, and the bullpen has at least a couple of in-house options, but I think you got to get both.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you there. I think you got to get both at the deadline, but I'm going to go bat. They are just lacking a right-handed bat. And, we've talked about throughout the week the Crawford stuff, but he's a lefty, so that doesn't help your right-handed bat issues and doesn't balance out your lineup. Kepler just doesn't do it for me. Center field's a disaster with Rojas and Marsh. I don't even know what Marsh is anymore. And we can't act like these guys are young anymore, like the Daycare, the Bohms of the world, the Stotts, the Marshes, and what they are going to be. No, they are what they are now. This is what they are. They have they're in the spot now where they're at the age where it's like, yeah, this is kind of the player they are at this point. Yeah, they could improve, they could get worse, but this place is relatively what they will be for their career. They could always, bounce back, maybe, but this is what they are. They're not going to be anything probably more than what they've shown you already because they've been in the league for a while. Bohm's been around for a long time at this point. He's not a kid anymore. It's why they stopped the Daycare. These guys need to start producing. If they don't produce, you got to move on. And in the case of Brandon Marsh, the guy can't hit lefties, and he can't even hit righties anymore. So I don't know what you do with a Brandon Marsh at this point. He's decent in the outfield, but that's about it.
Yeah, Marsh, listen, I think the biggest problem, I talked about this earlier in the day, is the platoons that have worked for the Phillies is Milt Thompson, the lefty, who's the high average guy with the high on-base percentage, and then Pete Incaviglia, the right-handed guy who's got the power. So that when Thompson starts the game and then you need to hit for him because a lefty pitcher comes in, you can send Incaviglia up there, and he's the right-handed power bat. Those types work. Same with Wes Chamberlain was the right-handed power bat. Jim Eisenreich was the left-handed high batting average, high on-base percentage guy. They complement each other so that when you have to hit for the other guy, you're putting a guy up there who's either high on-base, high average, or big power. The Phillies platoon that they have in center field, you have a mediocre hitter in Marsh and a below-average hitter in Rojas. So it really makes that platoon not very workable. Kepler playing left field right now, there's no other option out there. Now, you're going to get Weston Wilson back probably in a week or two. Do they really think that Weston Wilson can play? I don't know. We really haven't seen enough of Weston Wilson to say, can he play platoon every quote-unquote almost, not every day. He's the right-handed bat, so he would only play about, 35% of the time. I just don't think Weston Wilson is the answer to the right-handed platoon role with somebody full-time.
Yeah, I mean, they have clearly just let the outfield go at this point. The outfield is just, they just have not addressed it, I think, enough. They should have addressed it last year during the deadline. They must address it this year. They have to get a right-handed outfield bat. That has to happen. The bullpen arm, yes, it's 1A, but I think you need the bat more than you need the arm, just because you have some starting pitching depth. You have guys that can turn it around at some point, and I think they'll be relatively decent in the bullpen and fine there. But the outfield is just atrocious right now. I mean, you have nothing. I mean, it's just been neglected for the most part. Max Kepler was not a strong enough signing in the offseason for what this team needs. They need an impact outfield bat, and they just do not have it right now.
Don't have one. And look, Nick Castellanos is what he is. He is he's a good player. He's not a great player. Is what he is. You put him in the 4-hole, he struggles. He can't have the higher priority. You want to put him in a lower priority spot, he's fine. 270, 23 homers. Those aren't excitable numbers. They're just guys. I mean, Nick Castellanos for $100 million, he's just a guy. He's nothing special. He cannot be the guy you count on to protect Bryce Harper.
No. But you're stuck with Castellanos at this point. He's going to be your right fielder. It's center and left, it's just really, really the issue. But I'm with you. Outfield bat, right-handed specifically, is what this team needs. Hey, who knows? Maybe after the deadline in August and September, we're looking at somebody in left field who's a nice power bat, can hit for consistency, hit for a little bit of average. OBP, OPS is nice. And then maybe you have Justin Crawford in center field. It looks pretty good. Heading into the postseason, we'll find out. We'll see. A lot of time left. Still April. But it's something to start thinking about as we go.
I do want to stress something you just said. It is April, and I talked about this earlier. Last year in April, Alec Boehm hit 370 with 30 ribbies. Now he's hitting 170 with, no ribbies. So it's because it's the first 12 games of the season, those numbers stand out to us as, oh, my God, he's been horrible. He's struggling. If he was having this 12-game stretch in the middle of the season, it's a lot different situation, right? You're like, okay, he's in a little bit of a slump. But because it's the first 12 games, I think we're already writing him off as that this guy stinks, he's got to get moved. He had 370 with 30 ribbies in the first month of last season and ended up having a 97 RBI great season. So is there a hot streak in him that he kind of gets back to the mean. I don't know. Has he regressed that much? We'll see. I thought he hit the ball on the nose a couple more times last night. I think he's hit the ball on the nose a few times this year, just right at people. Bob Wankel was on earlier and said, his expected batting average on 2 of the balls he hit last night were over 550. Like, if you hit that ball every time, your batting average would be up over 550. So he's hitting the ball hard. I mean, he slices that ball right at the second baseman last night. He rips the ball into, right at the right fielder. So he's had some bad luck.
Yeah, it's not time to give up on him just yet. It's still early. It's still early. But these are things to think about as we go forward, right? As the Phillies season progresses. Listen, there's always the ebbs and flows of the season. Guys are going to struggle for a little bit. They're going to go streaking. And that's the way this team's built. They have guys who are streaky. And some guys have started off stronger than others this year. And you're going to see the ebbs and flows go and progress throughout the year. That's just how this team's built. It's how a lot of these players are on this team. They are just streaky players. You could see Baum go bat 400 in a month as soon. Like, who knows? It's so early. I'm not writing them off yet, but they are going to have to make some decisions at the deadline this year. It's a bigger deadline, I feel like, than other years, especially this season, especially with how old some of these guys are getting as well. All right, let's move along. Nugget number 2. I found this is a little lighthearted Philly story, okay? It's one of the guys in the bullpen, all right? Jose Alvarado. Now, he's pitched pretty well this season. He's been doing his job, all right? Velocity's up. He's commanding better. I don't know if you saw this, Mike, or anyone in the audience heard about this. Did you know Jose Alvarado, big coffee guy, he has 10 cups of coffee per day.
Damn.
So this is why he's so high energy all the time. And when he's high energy on the mound, Matt Gill reported this, a couple of stories out there about this. He has 10 cups a day, and he has 6 espresso shots in the morning. It's unbelievable. And he's got a tattoo that says coffee is life on his left hand. Mike, I mean, I think that's what you want out of your closer, right? And one of your high leverage guys, you need him to have a lot of energy, right?
I don't know about that. He's too jumpy. I mean, maybe that's the problem. Maybe he's got too much energy and he can't command. He's all over the place. I'd like to maybe have him settle down. You want ice water not in the veins, not caffeine.
He's taking it to the whole nother level. He's not, no emotion or anything. He's emotion. He's throwing the ball hard. I mean, maybe he needs the espresso shot, 10 cups. 10 cups is excessive, though. I mean, 2 to 3, that's a lot.
If I drank 10 cups of coffee, my heart would blast out of my chest, most likely. I would feel so jittery. I could drink 2 to 3, but spaced out. I'll have one early in the morning, like 6:30, 7 o'clock, somewhere in that range. And then when I get to the office, like 9-ish, 9:30, I might have another one. And then around 4 o'clock, when football at 4 gets here, and I need to get that over the hump to that second half of the show, that's when I hit that last one for the day, and then I'm done.
Yeah, I'm similar. So early start of the day, on the drive into work, I got to have the coffee or the energy drink. Have to have it on the way in. Or I'm ready to go. I can get stuff done early in the morning, right? Then around like 1-ish, around lunchtime, I need another either energy drink or cup of coffee, and I'm good for the rest of the afternoon. Now, there are some psychos out there that can drink coffee at night and go right to bed. Are you one of these people, Mike Gill?
I feel like I used to be, but I feel like my life has changed so much. Like, I used to sleep like I was a late sleeper. Now I can't sleep past like 6:30. I feel like there was a time that the caffeine wouldn't bother me and I could do it. That time has passed.
See, my roommate, he can drink it at like 10 o'clock at night, fall right asleep in like an hour or two, be fine. I don't understand it. My father, he's another one. Psycho, can have the coffee at night and get a great 6-7 hours of sleep following it. But he's up at the crack of dawn at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. So it's a lot of coffee, 10 cups to go onto the mound. My point is that's a little abysmal right there. I mean, 10, that's crazy.
Yeah. 10 is unfathomable to even think.
Yeah. So that's what Jose Alvarado's day to day is like. 10 cups of coffee a day. Coffee is life tattoo. Maybe Mike Gill get a happy hour Friday tattoo like Jose Alvarado gets the 10 cups of coffee. All right, moving
no
along.
tattoos here, but I've never even thought about getting a tattoo. Actually,
Yeah, I'm not a tattoo guy either. I don't need the ink. But hey, apparently that's how much he loves coffee. He got it written on his hand. All right. Moving along. Nugget number 3. We got to talk about the Masters. Masters are this weekend. Mike, I hope you're going to be tuned into this. But there's been some controversy already at the Masters. Now, I don't know if you saw one of the amateur players, Jose Luis Ballester. He was from Arizona State. Shout out to Grimesy on the weekends. Upside down hat at the Masters. He had Sun Devils upside down wearing the hat at Augusta. And then apparently he also took a leak on the 13th hole. It was asked about it. So first of all, he's breaking all kinds of rules. He's got the upside down text on the hat that says Sun Devils. And then he let it loose on number 13. Didn't go to the restroom, just into the river. What is going on at Augusta, Mike? Have you heard of this?
I honestly, like, I'm into the Masters generally. I just have not been watching. I heard that the leaderboard is like CBS's dream right now, so I don't even know who's at the top. I would imagine if you're asking who would be at the top that CBS would be happy for when the coverage gets to them this weekend, I would have to think you're thinking Scheffler, Rory. Man, who else would they be saying? All right, this is a great. That's what I said. McIlroy, Rory, yep. McIlroy.
Yeah, DeChambeau.
Some of the live guys. It's funny because the live guys, some of them or more of them have bigger names. I mean, some of the live guys are actually the bigger, some of the bigger names. But the PGA does well. Rose, maybe DeChambeau.
He's number 1 right now. Rose and DeChambeau are 1, 2, and the McIlroy's 3.
Jason Day, he's another one that I would imagine that they're hoping is somewhere up there. Scheffler, as I mentioned, Schauffele, maybe. I don't know, but it seems like it's a pretty tight top of the tournament board right now. But I have not watched a whole heck of a lot. I'll probably, because the rain this weekend, we're going to get a lot of rain. The Phillies not playing until 2:15, both Saturday and Sunday. So there you go. I'll have there's the leaderboard. Rose, DeChambeau, McIlroy. Okay, 8, 7, 6, 6, 6. Yeah, you got a good one. There has not been a competitive finish to the Masters in 10 years.
It's been a while, it feels like. I remember when Bubba Watson, I remember a little kid when Bubba Watson hit that one shot from the woods. That one just sticks out in my mind growing up. That was a big shot coming down to the wire. That was a good one.
Got the lineup.
Nope. Got the Phillies lineup?
Yes, I do. Whoa. Got to change.
Got to hit the breaking news sounder or something over there.
Got to change. You ready for this?
What do we got?
Got to give credit to one of our listeners. Stott, Turner, Harper, Schwarber, Castellanos, Kepler, Bohm, Marchand. Stott is leading off tonight.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about that?
One of our listeners texted that in earlier today. And I didn't poo-poo it. I said I just doesn't excite me all that much.
Yeah, I'm not in love with it. Listen, Schwarber, he can sit anywhere. He can put him anywhere, honestly. He's just raking the baseball. But Bryson Stott leading off. Turner second. Wow. And Bohm back down at 7. That's ooh, what a lineup.
So we were talking, well, I said today, do you just have to put Schwarber behind Harper and say, look, we need someone to protect Harper? I can't have Harper getting intentionally walked twice in a game. That, to me, suggests I got to do something. So I like the Schwarber there. And then we were talking, what do you do with the leadoff? And I said, you can't put Stott at 2 because then you have 3 lefties back to back to back. So this is the result. They put Stott at 1 and Turner at 2.
Here we go. The shuffling continues through the month of April, Mike Gill, with the Philadelphia Phillies lineup. Stotty leading off.
Stott in the leadoff. I got to find that guy's text from earlier today and give him the credit. I think it was Anthony from Ventnor. He suggested it, and there it is. Anthony from Ventnor says Stott leadoff, followed by Turner, Harper, Schwarber, Castellanos. Anthony and Ventnor, 2 points for you.
How about Anthony? Calling it out tonight. Hey, he gets his wish. Anthony gets his wish today.
Yeah, I didn't poo-poo it. Josh gave him a face palm. Josh gave him a face palm. What's that? Still do. Yeah, he says still do. Yeah, he gave the guy a face palm. I said, I don't hate it. It just doesn't excite me.
No, it's not exciting, and it's not Schwarber, it's not Turner.
For the reason of the two guys at the bottom of the order, they're on, and now you turn the lineup over, and Stott comes up. You're like, I feel like I'm still hitting at the bottom of the lineup.
Well, that's the point of having the leadoff hitter, right? Nowadays, they get more at bats, right? They're going to get more at bats. So that was the idea with having Schwarber lead off. He's getting more at bats, more power opportunities. I don't know. Stott in the leadoff, we'll see. All right, Mike.
Right.
3-pack of Nuggets and a Phillies lineup for you today.
Yeah, well, Phillies line up a little later today since the 8 o'clock start.
Yep,
All
absolutely.
right, Nuggets. See you, man.
Peace.
All right, those are Knicks Nuggets. They are brought to you by The Hub. It is gear that works as hard as you do. Mike Gill and the Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN. All right, that's the lineup tonight. Stott is hitting leadoff. Give me your reactions right now. 609-403-0973. 609-403-0973. They're going Stott, Turner, Harper, Schwarber, Castellanos, Kepler, Bohm, Marsh. Marchand is the catcher for Nola tonight. No JT in the lineup after the late night last night. But Bryson Stott moves to the leadoff spot tonight. Give me your initial reaction on the text board, 609-403-0973. More reaction next. Happy Hour Friday, driving you home. Mike Gill, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. What's up, everybody? So we told you the Phillies lineup, little tweak, little change, little something for all the haters out there tonight. Well, see what we think about this one. Stott's hit leadoff tonight. Stott, Turner, Harper, Schwarber, Castellanos. So there you go. You get new leadoff hitter tonight. No Turner, no Schwarber. Let's go with Bryson Stott. Pull it out of a hat. See how it goes. Nah, I mean, 364 on base percentage. He's been okay. Look, I said earlier, I don't mind Stott. I'll give it a shot. He's done a good job early. It just doesn't excite me. It just doesn't excite me all that much. That's all. I want to be excited when the lineup turns over. Instead, I'm like, whatever. But listen, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. His average is solid. His on-base has been very good, but not a lot of constant good contact. His stuff has been a bloop here, a flare there, a little dribbler over this way. But, hey, you get on base and let the other guys behind you do the job. We'll see what happens there. Ryan Rothstein's back for another edition of Rye or Cy. We'll do it. We'll kind of debate it back and forth. And here we go, driving you home on a happy hour Friday. Let me know what you're having this weekend. Got to get it into the text board, 609-403-0973. I got my picks coming up for the people. I had a crazy pick for the people that I have one coming up later on in the show, so stick around for that. And your cue to call for those Eagles tickets is coming up in about 23 minutes from now. All right, happy hour Friday. Start with that. Where we got?
Yeah, we got a lot. I mean, let's start with some of the Phillies stuff here. That's the top of our list here each and every day, MG. It's
timeout. I just got a Joel Embiid medical update email.
Oh, great. I mean, I wonder what this could be.
Joel Embiid has undergone successful arthroscopic surgery on his knee. The procedure was performed by so-and-so. He will be reevaluated in 6 weeks. Okay, just something pretty,
Gosh. Standing ovation, baby. Hey, anything's Joel Embiid positive right now. Let's go.
Just say, you see, I see Joel. The subject line was Joel Embiid medical update. So I'm like, whoa, what do I got here at 5:01 on a Friday news dump?
No, I'm not. It's worthy of reading it. I'm just saying. I'm just making fun of Embiid. It's unbelievable. But we'll take the positive.
All right, let me start with this text real quick from Kevin in Brigantine. I don't know if it's Kevin in Brigantine or just Kev. If you wrote K-E-V, Kev, are you going out of your way to tell me your name is not Kevin, or I want to be referred to as Kevin? How's that work?
You want to be referred to as Kev. That's clear as day right there. You're the Kev Meister. Yeah.
All right, Kev. Stott always sees pitches, a lot of pitches, rarely swings at the first pitch, 363 on base, dropping Bohm lower and lower is good. I don't think they dropped Bohm any lower. I think he's still in the same spot.
How much lower do you want him to go? He was in the 7 hole, wasn't he? Bohm?
Last night, yeah. Bohm was 7 last night. I don't know where. I think he's still 7 tonight. I have to double check.
Yeah, I don't think it makes sense to go put him much lower than 7.
But
I agree with the Stott point. I've always been a fan of Stott. My main reason, I've loved him for a variety of reasons, but the main reason is because of his approach at the plate. I love Stott's approach at the plate. I think he sees pitches. I think he has a high baseball IQ at the plate. And, that obviously could be very valuable for a leadoff spot. So I get it.
Again, I agree, too, with Stott has the intangibles to be a good leadoff guy. I just have that, that feel of like, okay, you've got tonight, for instance, Marsh is hitting 8, Marchand's hitting 9. Let's say Marsh figures out to ass backwards himself on base, right? And then Marchand's on base. Now you got first and second, nobody out, and you're like, here we go, top of the order. And then Stott comes up. Are you all that excited? Me, probably not.
First and second. Stott can lay down a bunt. He can work the count. He can get the walk. I think he can hit a nice little single line drive. Like, he can do those types of things, right? I think he's proven that. But I agree. I think the only person that excites us is Schwarber at the top of the order.
The next bunt Stott lays down, I think, will be his first, by the way. But I get the premise in your mind of, hey, maybe because he's not one of your better hitters, you're willing to do more unconventional things with him. Hey, it's not Turner. It's not Schwarber. Maybe we'll lay down a bunt here and get second and third and take the out at first base. And now I got Turner, Harper, and Schwarber up with runners at second and third.
I just, for whatever reason, Stott just seems like someone that if you ask him to lay down a bunt, he's going to lay down the bunt. That's just how I view him for whatever reason. I could be wrong with that.
I don't disagree. The question, and listen, I mean, if they told me, look, the reason we're doing this is because we're going to get creative. Our team has not, like I said this earlier.
That's all they've been doing, but go ahead.
But I said this earlier, like before the season started. I think Dombrowski's watching this team and saying, look, this is the same team. You guys like each other. I like you. I want to give you this chance. I'm giving you one more chance before I have to do something here. And then 12 games into the season, is he already like, if we don't do something, I'm going to have to make a big move. And Rob's like, let me try this. Or collectively, I think they're like, listen, you can't just let these guys swing and hit for home runs. We got to be a little something different. All right, let's try Stott at the top of the lineup. Maybe he gets on base. Now he's on base 36% of the time. I got Turner, Harper, Schwarber behind him. I don't know. We'll see.
Are you able to evaluate what's best for this team when they're changing things? I'm not insinuating this is good or bad. I'm just simply posing the question, are you able to evaluate properly when you're changing it this much?
It's a fair question. Like, how often, did they already bail on the, hey, we're going to hit Schwarber leadoff against righties and we're going to do Turner right against lefties as they are? Have they bailed on that and said we're going to do this? Look, I can
they bailed on, I mean, now it's not, just to add to that point, now it's not Turner or Schwarber. It's like we've been debating Turner or Schwarber. Now they've already, on April 11th, they have Stott. It's
this goes back to the theory, or not the theory, the notion of they're a bat short or maybe two because, okay, I'll keep moving the puzzle pieces around. I don't have a 4-hole hitter. Okay, I'll take Schwarber. I'll move him there. Well, now I'm short a leadoff man. All right, I'll put Turner in the leadoff spot. Well, now I'm short a number 2-hole hitter. I can't put Stott 2 because I got Harper and Schwarber both left-handed. I can't hit 3 lefties in a row. Okay, let me change the puzzle pieces around again. Let me put Schwarber back at the top of the lineup. Well, now I don't have a 4-hole hitter to protect Bryce Harper. All right, let me put Schwarber back there. Like, every time you move someone around, you have 2 other questions that need to be answered.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I just don't know. I don't know what their thinking is, right? I've been praising Rob Thompson because he's evolved. He's clearly evolved. He's different this year. He's putting Stott lead off. He's doing all these things. Earlier in the year, he pinch hit for Trey Turner when it was an off day. Like, they are clearly managing with aggression and urgency this year on April 11th. I think that's clear as day, right? Like, even as a group, if you want to say it, Dombrowski's involved, Middleton's involved. They are making these day-to-day decisions like it's the NLCS Game 7. Doesn't it feel that way? And I don't know if that's good or bad for the team. I really don't.
Listen, failure brings pressure. Expectations bring pressure. And when you get the ultimatum of you need to do this or there will be changes, right?
Yeah, but at what point does Bryce Harper, if like me and you were in the clubhouse, like at what point does Bryce Harper turn to us and say like, yo, fellas, like this is getting out of hand. Like this is out of hand every day. It's something different. Like at what point do they, or maybe it's never, I don't know, but I just, I can't help but wonder that at what point does the Harpers of the world, the Schwarbers of the world sort of whisper over to each other like, yo, what the bleep is Topper doing, dude? Like,
you know what? It's a good question. I think it's fair to ask, are they frustrated by the quote-unquote daycare hasn't grown up, all of that stuff? Like, are they frustrated where they're saying to Dave Dombrowski, hey, man, it's time to shake the makeup of the room a little bit?
Or not even that, just like let's do less each day. Like, let's do less day to day. Like, if you want to put Stott lead off, great. Let's put him lead off for an entire series. Let's put him lead off for an entire week. This is a long season. Do we need to be making these drastic changes every 24 hours? Like they're a pair of socks.
That's where I think you say, Are you already panicking where one day you move Castellanos to the 4-hole and then you move Bohm to the 7-hole? Then the next day, Castellanos out of the 4-hole, he's hitting 5, and you got Stott leading off. Is this going to be something you're going to say, hey, we're going to give this 35 games. We're going to give this till the All-Star break. Or tomorrow, I don't know who's pitching tomorrow for the I don't know what the pitching matchups are for this particular series yet, but
Yeah, I was
who's
curious
pitching
who's
tonight?
pitching
Is it a lefty or a righty?
Yeah.
So tonight's a righty. So normally you got Stott, a left-handed hitter. Okay, fine. But if they have a left-handed pitcher, do they change that up a little bit?
Yeah, is it back to Turner at the top? I don't know.
Then you have the same problem. Okay, now a lefty starts.
Yep.
Turner's leading off. Who hits 2? Because you're not going to go Stott, Harper, Stott, Harper, Schwarber, 3 lefties back to back to back.
Why though? Also, I like to pose the question why, right? Like, I get it. Trust me, I get it. But why? I mean, you have the best hitter on planet Earth, Art. One of the 3 best hitters on planet Earth in the middle of that. If you had to go lefty, 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 is it the end of the world with those guys? I'm just asking.
It's
why,
not ideal.
Why is it not a completely even fathomable thought? That's all.
Just not ideal. I mean, we know through
Okay, but
through
is
time.
this ideal? Is this ideal? Is the alternative ideal?
It gets Trey Turner into a position to face left-handed pitching more, I would imagine.
Okay. Is that best for the lineup or is that best for Turner?
Well, if your estimation is why does it matter that Harper and Schwarber face lefties? They can hit lefties. They both are fine against lefties. It's not like they're abysmal against left-handed pitching. It just, you put a tough lefty in a playoff series, and you got one of these really good ones, and you got 3 lefties in a row that's firing 98 with a slider that just flies out of the zone. That's a rough inning for those guys. But
it's a rough inning for anyone, I would contest.
Absolutely. But if I have Turner that is now between those guys as the right-handed hitter, and now he's getting more looks at left-handed pitchers, does that now give Turner a chance to get better looks because he's facing more lefties?
Which version of Turner? Which version of Turner is in the middle of that sandwich?
I don't even know what version of Turner I get from day to day regardless. I mean, that guy is such a
well, that's the point. Like, you're saying, well, you have Turner there. It's like, okay. I mean, so what?
Yeah. Are we at the point now where Turner is...
He's very underwhelming. I mean, does he oppose any fear or any? I mean, he's just a nothing burger, dude. Is he?
I agree. I don't know what he is. I'm like enigma wrapped into a whatever burger.
I don't know what he brings to the table. Honestly, I'm not trying to be ripping the guy. I'm not.
He just has no personality. He's just doesn't seem like he's just not a guy that you're like, I love this guy. That's the guy.
Rally. Yeah. You can't rally behind him. He doesn't bring anything to the table. And Schwarber's just hitting bomb after bomb, regardless of where you put him in the lineup. Like, there's guys on this team you can rally behind and love, and Turner's just the complete opposite.
Stott is 54 games as a leadoff hitter, 253, 294 on base, 3 homers, 16 RBIs. Those numbers aren't great. He hasn't done it a lot, 54 games. His best spot in the order is in the number 6 spot. But the Phillies just have too many holes right now. So they've moved, for those of you just tuning in, Bryson Stott's hitting leadoff tonight. Turner's hitting 2. Harper's hitting 3. Now, I suggested earlier in the show, you got to put Schwarber behind Harper and just kind of put Turner back in the leadoff spot. The problem is you don't have a number 2 holder. I wonder if against left-handed pitching, will they go Turner, say, Real Muto in the 2 hole?
Real Muto's interesting, and he's a guy that we haven't talked a whole heck of a lot about. But
Bohm. I wouldn't write Bohm off either as a guy who can go to the 2 hole.
But I think JT is an interesting name that you bring up, Mike Gill, right? Like, why not give JT a chance in the 2 hole? Why not? I mean, he's a guy that you talk about underwhelming contracts. I don't know. I know he's awesome behind the plate. I mean, that's indisputable. He has a gun for an arm. But I don't know. I mean, why not give JT a chance in the 2 hole?
I mean, listen, his
is he
bat
not
is...
capable?
his bat is just meh. I mean, he's another guy I think he's a popular guy. We like him. BC, best catcher in baseball. He throws guys out. But when push comes to shove, he's just average at the plate. I mean, he's
underwhelming too. Yeah, I mean, he's another guy at the plate. He's just
right. So to answer your question, why not? Well, because he's not all that. He's just okay. Now, he's gotten off to a decent start this year. I mean, his numbers would say, hey, you could hit him number 257, 350 on base percentage. He's stealing some bases, actually. But the problem with him is, he doesn't play he plays a lot for the catcher, probably more than he should. But if you put him in the number 2 hole, you got Turner. This would be against a left-handed pitcher, and they're due to face a left-handed pitcher this weekend on Sunday. So we would see the first possible chance of that happening. Are they going to keep Stott at the top of the lineup against left-handed pitchers?
I mean, don't you think there needs to be some type of consistency or no? Right? Like, don't we want to see Turner leading off more consistently to get a strong and a larger sample size of this instead of throwing him all over the place? Or do you think this is good, right? This is the main thing I've been trying to wrap my head around. Is this chaotic or is this a positive?
It's a fair question. Is it chaotic? A little bit. I mean, this is your third leadoff hitter in 12 games.
Right.
And it's not due to injury.
Right. I
You're
mean,
just like, hey, let's pull a name out of the hat and see who wins tonight.
It's hard to rationalize it. It's hard to defend it.
It is. It is. And I think, so what happens last night, are you reacting to what happened last night? Is you see Bryce Harper get intentionally walked twice and the guy behind him strikes out both times. Are you reacting to, I can no longer watch my highest paid player not even get to swing the bat because they don't have any fear in the guy hitting behind him. And we're going to change that tonight by putting the guy who right now might be feared more than Harper.
Right. I don't know. I typically would say yes, they are reacting to that, but they have been moving these chairs around, musical chairs, so much that you don't know what they're doing. You don't know what they're reacting or not reacting to anymore.
Yeah. Well, listen, back to what I said before. Every time you move one piece, you're a piece short. This team's a piece short, if not two. Earnshaw asked me an interesting question.
Okay.
If you could only make one trade at the deadline, if you only ended up making one, is it for a right-handed bat in the middle of the lineup, or is it for a back end of the bullpen arm?
Bullpen arm. Bullpen arm. I know you contest that the biggest issue with this team, correct me if I'm wrong, is that right-handed power bat. And that is a fair thing to say. I get it. You can easily argue that. But for me, it's the bullpen arm. For me, I think right now this team, if they fall short of a World Series, I don't think it's because of lack of talent at the dish. I mean, I think it's because of lack of depth in the bullpen right now. That is the concern for this team. I think if you're going up against the Dodgers in a best of 7 and you have this bullpen the Phillies currently have, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. And I think your talent at the plate right now is good enough if you can upgrade your depth in the pen.
See, I disagreed with that one. I went with the bat because I've watched this offense let you down. Now, I know the bullpen let them down last year, but their offense also let them down last year, the year before, and the year before that. Now, again, this is only one move. I contend you need to do both, no question. But I have to pick one. I feel I have enough depth in my starting rotation that I can deploy Ranger Suarez to the bullpen and possibly somebody else. I mean, I don't know who that somebody else is going to be. I don't see them obviously putting Wheeler in the bullpen. They're not going to put Luzardo in the bullpen. I doubt they would put Christopher Sanchez in the bullpen. I find it hard to believe they're going to put Aaron Nola in the bullpen. What do you do with with Andrew Painter when he comes up and let's say he's lights out? What do? You got 5 starters plus Suarez and then Taijuan Walker, who I don't think any of us are ready to say, oh, I trust him now. So that would be the hard part about this. Of those 5 starters, which ones could you say you're not in the rotation, you're going to the bullpen? I don't know.
It's almost laughable, though, that we look at this lineup, and I'm not making fun of your point. Like, I agree with you wholeheartedly that they need another bat on the right-handed side, power bat. I'm with you, right? But it's almost laughable that we look at this lineup and how talented it is, and we say they're not good enough. I mean, I think there's 29 or 30 teams in Major League Baseball that would beg and plead to switch for our lineup and our talent up and down our roster at the
Yeah.
dish. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I hate to say baseball was baseball as to them going cold, but like, Bryce Harper went cold. That's the reality. Schwarber went cold. That's the reality. Like, that's just, I don't think we can say, well, it's not their fault, right? Like, I think we have to put some blame on those guys that went cold all of a sudden in key moments in the World Series. And it's not because of a lack of talent.
Well, and I would not disagree with that. The problem is they're not doing this at 24, 25, 26 years old. They're doing it now to where they're getting into their 30s, and their better years are going behind them. So, okay, if I lost in the World Series, and then I lost in the Championship Series, and then I lost in the Division Series, and my guys were 24, 25, 26, I still feel that they're getting better, that somewhere they break through. When are they going to start declining? When does this group of guys, one of them, two of them, three of them, JT, even Bryce Harper's not going to be Bryce Harper as we know him for the rest of this contract.
No, that other shoe's going to drop real soon. We all just assume he's going to come back as Bryce every year. He's not similar to Joel Embiid, but it's like as early as 2 or 3 years ago, we were having conversations on this show about Joel Embiid still being young and his window still being like those windows shut quick in professional sports, quicker than we even realized that they shut. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with you on all of that, but you decided to run it back with this team. Like, I don't know if one right-handed bat is going to be the difference, where I think a bullpen arm could be the difference in this team actually, getting a parade back down broad.
All right, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, live video on the X platform, YouTube at 973 ESPN. Here's a question for you. You can only pick one, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Right now, would you rather the Eagles go back-to-back or the Phillies get the Super Bowl, World Series?
Okay.
Think about it, all right?
Yep.
Would you rather the Eagles go back-to-back or the Phillies break through and win a World Series? That's what I want to know. 609-403-0973. 609-403-0973. You can answer that question right now on the text board. 609-403-0973. 609-403-0973. I'll throw it out there one more time. You can have the Eagles go back-to-back Super Bowls, or the Phillies win the World Series this year. Which one? You can only do one. Let me know. I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, live video on the X platform, YouTube at Mike Gill Show. We got another segment left with Rye or Cy. But first, it's this. Hey, what do you know? It's your cue to call right now, 609 573-3776, 609-573-3776. Caller 7 right now. Get in on the line, and you have a chance to win Eagles Club Box tickets for a game at Lincoln Financial Field, an overnight stay at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City, and other great Ocean Casino Resort prizes. You must be present to win at Ocean Casino. The Gallery, Bar, Book, and Games will be there for the draft party on Thursday, April the 24th, with the Philadelphia Eagles hosting pick number 32. You have a chance to win right now if you're caller 7. 609-573-3776. Don't forget, another chance tonight during game night and starting Monday morning during Unsportsmanlike in the 6, 7, and 8 o'clock hours. All right, 5:30 on the drive home. A couple people texted in on the question I just threw out there. Would you rather see the Eagles win the Super Bowl again back-to-back or the Phillies win the World Series? Let me know. 609-403-0973. Ryan Rothstein's back for another segment of Rye or Cy Friday afternoon. Let's get into that more. We got a bunch of little Friday fun questions for you to get out of here on a Friday, happy hour Friday. Got some people texted in. Let me read off some of the text messages real quick on this. Let's see. No-brainer Eagles back-to-backs, because then you start to talk about a three-peat. That's on the text board. Phillies win the World Series. Would love to see Harper win one here. That's from Huddy and Galloway. Let's get one more in. Philly win the World Series. So Philly win the World Series. Couple go in that direction. One guy go with the back-to-back, because then you go for the three-peat there. So let us know. Would you rather see the Eagles win the Super Bowl, you go back-to-back, or the Phillies finally get one again for the first time since 2008? What do you got?
Yeah, I say Phillies. It's a no-brainer for me. The Eagles have almost become boring. I say that kiddingly, but yeah, it's the Phillies, man. The Phillies, the urgency. We're talking about it every day. The urgency that they have just with their approach to the lineup and changes in the field in the first week of April, right? There's urgency and desperation for this Phillies team to deliver a championship. The Eagles, they just delivered one. They've been to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years, right? So the reality is it's extremely, 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 extremely unlikely the Eagles will win a Super Bowl again back-to-back. It don't happen.
It just doesn't happen, but could this team do it? I mean, we just saw them beat a team that did go back-to-back. So this team could do it, and that would make them extra special. The question with the Phillies is, if they don't get this one, is the window for them closing? I would ask the question on the Phillies in this way. If they don't win it this year, you're going to see a big changes. But you're going to see Turner, Harper, probably Schwarber again, Wheeler, Nola, Luzardo, Sanchez. I mean, you got a lot of those guys, but then you're going to be adding that next generation of guys. Aiden Miller, Andrew Painter, Justin Crawford. And the guys that I mentioned, the Schwarber, Turner, Harper, blah, 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 the older guys, are they going to be able to give you the same level of impact on the back end of their contracts?
Yeah, all fair. I would say this. If the Phillies don't win a World Series this year, they're not winning one with Bryce Harper. I mean, that's how I look at it. How much longer can we just assume Bryce Harper's going to eventually get it done if it's not this year? Yeah,
that goes to what I was just mentioning. It is how many more MVP quality seasons, and he doesn't have to win the MVP. I'm just saying, is he in the MVP conversation? How many more of those does he have left in him? And I'll say this. Trey Turner is in the 3rd year of that deal, a 10-year deal. You got 7 more Trey Turner years still to go.
Yeah, that's rough, man. That's like a mirror has broken in the house. 7 unlucky years right there. But, forget Bryce Harper. Not forget Bryce Harper. He's the be-all, end-all. But, Zach Wheeler we've talked a lot about. How many more Zach Wheeler Cy Young years is he going to deliver? It's almost absurd. He's already given us this much. Same with Aaron Nola, right? Like, there's a lot of things that are about to change very soon in the Philadelphia Phillies organization.
Well, and that's why they went out and got Jesus Luzardo. It was like, hey, our 2 top pitchers, they're getting older. We need to add a younger guy to the top of the rotation. That was kind of the theory behind why they were involved at the trade deadline for, who was the White Sox pitcher? Lefty. What was it? Crochet. Oh, yeah, Garrett Crochet. Where you're saying, why do they need a pitcher? Well, your 2 top of the rotation guys are getting older. We have the chance to go get a younger guy. Let's go try to do it. And then you got Andrew Painter. So you would your next rotation will be Painter and Luzardo and Christopher Sanchez, and then maybe Wheeler and Nola start to go more towards the back end, kind of like, where you had Clayton Kershaw for all those great years, and then he kind of went to the back. You had Verlander, that was like, in his late 30s, early 40s, still pitching in the middle of the Astros rotation. So at what point does that happen there? But I'd like to see the Phillies win a World Series.
Absolutely.
I don't agree with you, though, that if they don't get one this year, that they can't get one.
I mean, listen, are the odds in their favor or against their favor if they don't get it done this year?
Well, I don't know, because it's like the Sixers thing. if Joel Embiid's healthy and Paul George is healthy and Tyrese Maxey's healthy, I feel
They've
a lot
been
differently.
healthy though, but with the Phillies though, it's like their health has never really been an issue.
No, that's not what my point is. I'm saying
Okay.
I don't know what to think about the Sixers moving forward because I don't know if those guys are ever going to be healthy. If they are healthy, sure, I'm excited. If they're not healthy, well, this is the product. My question is, I don't know what to expect from Aiden Miller, Justin Crawford, Andrew Painter. They are the next guys. Are those three guys the missing pieces, coupled with Bryce Harper, Schwarber, Turner, Wheeler, Nola? How many quality seasons do they have left in them?
Yeah, but those guys who've never spent a lick of time in a Phillies uniform, they're going to have to get up to speed really quickly in time that Bryce Harper is still relevant, that Trey Turner is still relevant, that all these guys are still relevant. Like, it's just, I don't see that happening. I don't see those guys in a season or two being,
Well,
legitimate players, and Bryce Harper, 2-3 years from now, still being the guy he is today. It's highly unlikely.
that's the thing. Is Harper, where is he? Because I would say if Aiden Miller is better than, say, what Bryson Stott or Alec Boehm were, they still were parts of the team that you got to the World Series. But they were more complementary pieces, but they were still part of the team that got to a World Series. Can Aiden Miller be better than what those guys were and give you more than, say, Bryson Stott did in 2022? Bryson Stott on that team was the young shortstop that, you were just like hoping that the kid could swim in the deep end a little bit.
What athlete would be more disappointing if neither deliver a championship, Joel Embiid or Bryce Harper? I would almost contend that if Bryce Harper doesn't deliver a World Series, everyone loves him. Everyone has his socks and his bandana, and Bryce Harper, walks on water. I get it, but I'm not afraid to criticize the guy. There's not much to criticize him on right now, but if he never delivers a championship, I'll gladly change my tune because, it's a massive failure. It's a massive failure.
It's a good
What's
question.
his legacy?
It's a good question. He did win an MVP here. So did Embiid. They both have won MVPs. Bryce got them to a World Series and was the key figure in doing so.
Yeah, had one of the greatest moments in Philly sports history.
Right.
Embiid's never had a moment.
No.
Nothing.
So Embiid, who re-energized the entire organization and the fan base for right now on a stretch of
Briefly.
8 seasons. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23,
I understand the
27
math.
seasons.
But I'm saying I don't think the past 2 or 3 years, I would say since the series lost to Atlanta, I wouldn't call this city re-energized for Sixers basketball.
I honestly thought last year there'd be no buzz. I think Maxey's emergence last year gave this team way more buzz than you thought.
Gave them a little buzz. Yeah, I would agree.
And coupled with Embiid, he was better last year than he was the year he won the MVP.
Maybe I would have to go back on that, but yeah, I would say he's certainly similar. Yeah, either way.
And then he got hurt, and then he got hurt, right? And then that's when,
it's what he does.
The team was like second seed in the East. They were,
They lose to the Knicks in the first round, which is brutal. And Embiid played through injury, but once again, Maxey delivers in a spectacular moment at the Garden to get the Sixers a win. Embiid has never had any type of playoff moment.
Never. And he had that game winner against the Raptors, but that was kind of, it was a second round game, maybe a first round game.
That was a first round game, and that wasn't, I think you're thinking of was it the Heat or Washington? It was like on the wing.
Yeah, it was like a wing shot. He hit a 3 and it was kind of like whatever. But, yeah, he's never had a moment, no question. By the way, last year Embiid, in the year he won the MVP, he averaged 34 points, 11 rebounds, assist and a half,
he was
34 points, 11 rebounds, 5.5 assists last year. The year before that,
games?
39.
Yeah.
The year he won the MVP, he averaged 34 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists. So he averaged more rebounds and more assists last year and the same amount of points.
Yeah, in 40% of the season. I mean, 39 games. I can't credit him for that.
I said that. I said he was having a better year last year than he did when he was the MVP, and then he got hurt. So the team fan base was getting re-energized by this Embiid Maxey pairing of, I didn't have a lot of expectations for this team, and this Maxey just went to another level last year, and I think I thought re-energized a fan base that I was thinking was going to become apathetic.
That's fair, but now I think we're talking more about Maxey doing it than Embiid doing it. Right?
I don't care who does it. Get it done.
Well, we're talking about Embiid and versus Harper. That's the conversation we're having. And
yeah, well, so my thing would be if it would be more disappointing if Harper would be the answer for me, because Embiid's just so unreliable. He's just so unreliable. Now, I know, nationally they're doing debates on, is he the biggest what if ever? That's how he is viewed, Embiid, as maybe one of the greatest talents of all time with nothing to show for it.
He's already busted, though, too. Like, he's already a bust in a lot of people's minds. I'm not saying that's fair. I'm not even saying that's the truth. But, like, Embiid's almost starting to be viewed as past tense.
Yeah, that's what happens to you in sports, right? You start to be the old news pretty quickly.
Yeah, very quickly. But, I would say I agree with you on Harper, because I would say overall the Phillies are more popular when they're at their peak.
Right now, yep.
And even just, I would say, if they're both championship contenders, the Phillies are typically more popular in the city. Would you agree?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's hard because they haven't both been really good at the same time.
No, I know. When have they been?
I mean, when the Sixers were in their run from 18, 19, like up to now,
Phillies were horrible.
The Phillies got good in 2022.
Yeah, and that was the right around the Atlanta collapse years, and then the first round exit. So they were never really making deep playoff runs at the same time. Maybe in their history.
Not in this, not in this. And then 07, 08, 9, when the Phillies were good, the Sixers were dreadful.
Yeah, exactly. And then vice versa, 01, the Phillies, I don't know what the Phillies were up to in 01.
Nothing.
Mike Lieberthal. Yeah.
Randy Wolf.
Yeah, the Wolfpack, baby. he's a random Philly athlete that I've loved, irrationally loved.
Who, Randy Wolf?
Yeah, Randy Wolf, man.
Irrational. Oh, we probably were talking about that the other day, right?
Yeah, an irrational love for a random athlete.
Yeah.
Philly athlete.
Let's see. Let me try to pull out a good one here.
How about Mike Lieberthal?
I was meh on Mike Lieberthal.
You weren't a big Levy guy?
You know who I liked? You know who I liked, and people might not even remember him?
Who?
There was a pitcher by the name of Tyler Green. He was a first-round pick for them, Wichita State. He threw a knuckle curve, and he just never materialized.
Love a good knuckle curve. R.I.P. to the knuckleball, man.
The knuckleball is gone. The knuckle curve is still around.
Still lingering.
I threw knuckle curve. So I always this Tyler Green threw knuckle curve, and I was like,
so you could relate.
I could relate. So Tyler Green, I irrationally liked, and I think he made an all-star game. Josh, can you look that up? Tyler Green,
really?
I think, made an all-star game. Now you're like, wait, I never even heard of this guy. You're telling me he made an all-star game?
Yeah. When was this? 90s?
95. He made the all-star game, Josh said. I graduated from high school that year.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I don't remember any Tyler Green. That's one heck of a pull by you.
Tyler Green made the all-star game, 1995. He was a first-round pick, Wichita State, knuckle curve. I mean, he was the guy. I thought he was going to be the Cy Young guy. He was going to save this team.
What I know we're about to be outie, but what athlete or coach right now in the city of Philly has the biggest question mark? It could be any type of question, good, bad, or indifferent.
You could have a steel cage match between Nick Nurse and Rob Thompson, right?
Yes. Yeah, those are the top two that come to my mind.
I mean,
you can also say Bryce Harper. You can also,
Bryce Harper. The biggest thing for Bryce Harper for me is how many more high-quality years.
Right. How many would you guess?
4, which puts the Phillies in a tough spot because the contract thing is going to start to come up where they're going to have to decide whether they want to re-sign him again. And he's already talking. There's been the murmurs that he wants the extension. If you're the Phillies and you're disciplined, you're saying, no, just ride it out, dude. Just ride this contract out. We gave you whatever it was, 11 years, 12, 13, whatever the heck the contract was. Just we agreed on it, and we did that for a reason because you're going to get older as that thing goes on. I don't want to pay you more. I gave you $300 million.
Yeah, and it's tough for him to see all these guys getting $1 billion right now. So
no question. You're telling me that he thinks Juan Soto is worth $600 million and he's not?
He's worth half of it.
Yeah.
Think about it. He got half. I mean, that's crazy. If you're Bryce Harper, you have to be pacing in your room. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy.
When the Phillies signed Kevin Millwood, I thought that team was going to go to the playoffs.
Man, talk
Don't
about.
Don't remember what year that was.
That was like early 2000s, like 03, 04.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about Millwood the other day because Wednesday night, the Phillies, Flyers, and Sixers all won together on the road for only the second time in the history of the city.
Wow.
The last time it happened was 03 on a game where Kevin Millwood was pitching.
Kevin Millwood, I remember that. That was a huge deal that we got him.
Yeah. Oh, and they got him. I got to remember who else was in that rotation. But Kevin Millwood was pitching a game on a Sunday afternoon, and I was supposed to go to the game. We decided not to go, and he threw a no-hitter.
Yeah. I want to say Brett Myers was in that rotation with him at some point, maybe. I don't know if
Tyler Green.
No. Tyler Green was way gone.
All right, that's a Friday edition, Rye or Cy here on the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN. Tyler Green, first half of 95, 281 ERA. The second half, he had a 10.68 ERA. Well, he went to the All-Star game.
Good for him.
All right, man, have a good weekend.
You too, bro.
All right, see you later. All right, that's Rye or Cy for Friday here on the Sports Bash, 609-403-0973. We'll get ready to wrap up the show with the Bet365 play of the day, and that is coming up next. All right, getting out of here on a Friday night. I got this fun text I want to get to real quick. It says, Philly frauds. Morey, Embiid, George, Bohm, Rojas, and Marsh. Have Howie Roseman run all the professional sports organizations in Philly. That is the only way to achieve success and bring championships to the other sports in town. See the irony here? That most people thought Roseman was, in fact, the fraud. And I told you for years he was not the fraud. And now we're saying he's the savior, which I don't disagree with. But at one point, people thought that Roseman needed to go and that he was the fraud.
Hey, it just goes to show you, if you win a championship in Philadelphia, you're a god. If you don't, you're an idiot.
Pretty much. All right. All those guys he mentioned, though, they are having some rough times. But just like Roseman, who once people thought was an idiot. All right, Bet365 plays of the day. How'd we do last night?
Yeah, you nailed it last night. The Pistons came from behind. They beat the Knicks. They covered the 3.5. You are now 145, 97, and 1.
All right, tonight and the weekend, I got Celtics Hornets minus 19.5 for the Celtics. I'll take the Celtics by a blowout tonight. They win by 25. Sixers Hawks tonight. I like the over. No one's playing defense for either team. The Sixers don't care. The Hawks need to win. Back and forth they go. Warriors tonight, I'll take them 14.5 against Portland, and they are my Bet365 plays of the day. That'll do it for me. Good show. Bryson Stott hitting leadoff tonight for the Phils. That'll be an interesting dynamic there. We'll see Bryson Stott hit leadoff and see how they change the lineup Saturday and Sunday. You got a left-handed pitcher on Sunday. That's what I'm really interested to see if they go Turner back to the top of the order. So keep that in mind. All right, more coming up next on Game Night right here on 97.3 ESPN. And then, of course, I'll be back on Monday with 4 more chances for you to qualify for the Eagles draft party. We have another chance for you to qualify coming up in about 30 minutes from now right here on 97.3 ESPN.